Happy New Year. I hope the hangover has been settled. WWE decided to put on their first show of 2022. Dare I say it was the best show of 2022. Day one is in the books. A bit of an eventful show, a bit of a crisis at times, but we've got plenty to get into. Welcome to a special edition of the Smack Attack, the WWE Day 1, Day 2 review. James McIver alongside, not my partner in crime, John Enright. He's enjoying a well-earned holiday, but one of the top-tier names of Hammy Media Group, the real RBV, Rick Vickery. Good morning. How are we doing? Thanks for the early rise on a Sunday morning.
Money McIver, my old rival here.
I know.
My old brother, partner in crime from across the drink. Hey, man, what better place to be on day 2 than sitting with you, Smack Attack special for the day 1 review. Hey, I was telling you before we got on here, hey, man, I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. Worked the late shift last night. Already hit the gym this morning. Had a nice steam, good breakfast. Hey, and this is just the beginning. I get to go hang out with some of my great local wrestling friends, and we got a big a big Bengals versus Chiefs game to look forward to. Hey, but we've got a lot to break down right now. I see the chat. The chat is filling up, and hey,
Cujo 62. Congratulations, first comment of the day.
I hope we get a good turnout here for some good conversation, because I feel this was a good start to 2022 for the WWE.
It was, I thought it was a really good show last night. All things considered, we've got a few sort of crises we've got to talk about as the show, sort of before the show and as the show went on. But from start to finish, bell to bell, this is a really entertaining show. Well worth the sort of staying up business over in this end, I thought. Where do you want to start on this? Should we just get stuck in and just?
Well, I think as you said, the biggest news and maybe what turned the tide in people's expectations and excitement level happened even before we go on air, before the pre-show, a few hours before we get WWE breaking news through social media that the big dog, the head of the table, he has been put down finally by COVID-19. He had tested positive. He had to withdraw. Did you happen to see his statement here? He yearned to defend that. Who the hell talks like that?
Way of putting it.
But hey, kudos to WWE here. You get hit hard in your main event, not just your main event, your marquee. I mean, what people are drawn to this thing for, your entire selling point. Reigns is added this thing. They pivot, they move Lesnar into the Fatal 4-Way, making it a 5-way. Yeah. And I think that just gave you and I were talking before that news even broke, what we were looking forward to, our expectations. Come on, the curve hasn't been that high in 2021 for WWE. So, I mean, we were hoping, for a decent outing, maybe some good conversation here. And I think, the enthusiasm and the whole vibe around day 1 changed simply because they hit the pivot.
Yeah, well, this whole week was a bit of a nervy time for them anyway. Seth Rollins was down with COVID. Becky Lynch had to isolate. Bianca Belair was out. We had a number of injuries going into that. So they went into sort of bubble wrap mode this week. They only had Kevin Owens on Raw. You had most of the main event for Raw side. All at home. Don't come in. Take it easy. Roman Reigns got taken off shows for the week because of this possible outcome that he could have had COVID. So they wanted to keep everyone safe, keep the main card safe. And even now, COVID hit the show pretty hard and Roman Reigns couldn't make it. In a strange way, that kind of worked. They managed to make it work well, but it kind of, as we'll talk about it as we go through the review, but it became very, very apparent as someone who reviews SmackDown regularly that SmackDown's in deep shit. The really deep shit. Roman Reigns obviously is going to come back within about a week or two. Hopefully, all things going well with this, because this Omicron variant seems to be a bit more positive in terms of recovery. He's not going to hospitals and things like that. But Ridge Holland broke his nose on the pre-show, which is
wow. You talk about a shot there.
So there's that, and then Drew McIntyre has been confirmed to be out for we don't know yet with an undisclosed injury.
Well, they said it's something with a cervical issue, so it's around the neck. Now,
I think that was that not just for the storyline rather than?
Well, so I didn't know what they were tying in here. If there actually is an underlying real medical issue, or are they using this to tie into the storyline? Is it all just to get him some time off for maybe something else he has going on? Is it precautionary? But it looks like he is going to be removed for maybe a couple weeks' time here.
Yeah. So that leaves SmackDown bare, very bare. You know, we don't have anyone really lined up as a main eventer right now. Your biggest, if you're kind of putting wins and losses and saying they mattered, your biggest talent right now is Sheamus. He was on the pre-show tagging with Ridge Holland in a match that maybe could have went to something, didn't really go into anything. So it's a bit of a worrying time for SmackDown. The women's division's quite bare now. Toni Storm left just over a week ago. So who we got left? Sasha Banks. I know they were trying to hold off her until the Royal Rumble, so maybe that's going to pan out okay. But it just seems 3 names go out, one with COVID and 2 injuries, that it's quite scary how quickly SmackDown looks bare in terms of the landscape of what they can do on their shows for 2 hours on a weekly basis, whereas Raw gained Brock. That's the other thing. Brock Lesnar's made the move over to Raw essentially. Because
he still is that free agent. He still has unfinished business with Roman Reigns. So I think if you needed that placeholder to kind of keep that interest, and I know we're going to get the what the spinoff is when we do talk about the main event, maybe the direction, what matches we can look forward to. I guess this would be an opportunity if you would hold Reigns off for another week or 2. Maybe you are testing the waters to see the reaction from a floating champion.
Yeah.
To see if people are going to follow, from this Monday, the fallout of day 1. And if you can, roll that into some enthusiasm, some steam going into Friday night. I think this would be a great test run for this. Now, buddy, I think we do have a great point over here. Cujo mentioned, the news wasn't that Roman has COVID, but that they actually had mentioned it when in the past he has avoided this. Do you think this is really just a case of it's out there? I mean, it's sweeping all of these leagues right now. We're seeing these stories from the NFL. I mean, they're moving games left and right. It's affecting their playoffs. Bowl games were canceled. You had players not traveling because of it. Obviously, in the NBA, there's issues with it. Is it growing to a point where it's just outside of their control to try to cover this thing with just an overly phony wrestling story? Just roll with actually what's happening in society.
Yeah, I think it's better doing it that way anyway. Put your hands up. I mean, you said it earlier, they've never really been faced with something like this before where their top guy has been hit out with COVID. And sometimes you just have to accept defeat. We all know the situation. I think it was very well documented and reported over the past week or so about, Seth Rollins announced he was down with COVID last Christmas. So there was that. So it was already out there in the world. So they're aware it was going to happen. I don't think it's a coincidence that Roman Reigns and maybe 1 or 2 talent wind up having to take time out because of COVID very quickly after WWE decided that they were not going to push any COVID protocols anymore, like in terms of testing. Like, I think it was a twice a week testing or something like that, mandatory testing.
Well, at some point they were getting so worried that they just stopped testing.
Yeah, that was so backwards. It's like, we don't want anyone to miss shows with a positive test. So don't test. And when they don't test, they fucking get COVID.
Did you ever see the one of those terrible reality shows, I Was Pregnant and Didn't Know It?
Yeah.
I just thought I was putting on weight. Then 9 months later, this baby just falls out of this bitch.
I mean, I just had a tickly cough. I didn't think it was that bad.
You don't know if you don't go to the doctor, if you don't get tested.
Yeah. So they put themselves in a tricky spot already out the gate. And I don't know the full ins and outs of that. My understanding initially was it was the Performance Center. Thankfully, common sense prevailed and talent decided to still test themselves for COVID in their own pack. But yeah, it kind of left us in a tricky situation going into SmackDown. Well, I'll say SmackDown day 1. So we're kind of talking about a pay-per-view on this sort of show. But it left us in a kind of tricky spot, but they'd handled it quite well. I do feel a bit bad for Big E in this one because it was only going to end one way. We talked about it between ourselves when the announcement was made, and I said to you, it's like, this is a good chance for them to maybe put Lesnar and Reigns on the back burner and keep it ticking over until maybe WrestleMania season. A lot of people talking about a potential unification match at WrestleMania now because of what happened tonight.
I'm sure we'll get to those there because I think there's a lot of conversation, and I think that's, again, not by design, but by accident, they've created some excitement here for even what potentially could be coming at us.
Yeah. So speaking of what's coming at us, should we just get into this? Where should we start?
Let's just dive on into this thing.
Yeah.
It mentioned the pre-show. Now, one of the sub programs here inside of SmackDown. You see, nobody worth to remember. Who cares about SmackDown? It's the best program inside of WWE from top to bottom. What they have going on there. I'd say up to this point. Now there might be some more interest going forward with Raw.
I would have said October was the turning point. Once the draft happened, it all changed for the worse.
I don't know. I think, there's one. You were having to tune in for the Roman stuff and then the Brock Lesnar stuff. So I think that put it over the edge. Again, you have that curve, not really a whole lot of interest going on inside of WWE. But we get things going here. Obviously, a serious blow to this thing, I guess, what they had planned. But ultimately, again, Sheamus looks really strong, getting a win essentially in a handicap match.
Yeah, weird heel win, clean over two baby faces. For me, the big talking point was the Ridge Holland injury. The worst possible timing for. If you've not seen it yet, take a minute to watch the pre-show. If you do, Ricochet does this really dumb 450 stomp and clearly misjudged it and lands square on Ridge Holland's face. And it sort of like rubs down his nose. So it's sort of like his foot hits him sort of like on the cheek, isn't it? And then just the rate of him rotating goes right down on his nose. If you watch the slow motion replay, you can actually see his nose bent.
Pretty much if you want to visual this thing, just imagine, or maybe just go out and try this yourself. Just go stomp on a tomato.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just like an explosion. Immediately, you're like, nah, man, he's got to get the hell out of there. And they did. They were quick to act, and they got him out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I saw people online complaining, saying, oh, you should be out there. You should finish the match. I can't see. He broke his nose. He's just going to be absolutely knackered for that. Good move on WWE medical part. Fair play to everyone in the ring to manage that. It's not an easy thing when you lose a guy in a tag team match. But I just don't understand why you would do such a move like that. I've never been a fan of sort of 450 stomps like that for the very reason that we see here. Because if it goes wrong, it can go horribly wrong. It can go very badly wrong. Like, nothing wrong with doing a splash. You could just finish on a splash. It looks just as good, just as impressive, and it's less dangerous. That would be my only main criticism of Ricochet on that.
Oh yeah, and now you're down a young superstar here that was in one of their undercard programs, but yeah, Sheamus with a big win. We round out the kickoff show, and we're gonna get things going with which I thought was one of the better matches, right up there.
Yeah.
Match of the night. We get things going with the SmackDown Tag Championship.
Surprisingly technical. And I didn't think it was going to be like technical moments in this match where like the Usos are working the leg, putting on submission holds and things like that. It just seems really a very slick match. I mean, I say this every time we get a New Day and Usos match on SmackDown. That you know what you're going to get. You're not going to get a bad match. You're always going to get something really good. Very strong opener. I think it's even better because obviously Xavier Woods is an Atlanta fella. So you got a good sort of opening reaction to the crowd, good response, good energy coming into this.
Well, I was looking up some of the attendance figures on this thing, and even the arena themselves. They send out thanks for the sellout. Research a little bit more over at WrestleTix and a few other outlets that look, there was only like maybe 150 to 200 tickets even available going into that morning. They released some extra seats. It looks like they very well hit that sellout. It would have been right there between that 98 to 100% capacity for the show. And Atlanta came hot. They were rocking. And it helps the talents. It helps the audience at home because that extra oomph inside of that vibe, that energy that you want. And obviously, when you get the New Day and the Usos together, as many times as they hook up, what's so nice about it is, you said, Money, they're going to give you their absolute best, but they find a way to toss in those extra and new wrinkles that are going to give you surprises. And as you said, though, this was a little more technical than you expected.
Yeah.
Well, these two teams. I mean, they are. Over the last decade, one of the most classic rivalries inside of tag team wrestling. So I love the storytelling here. Hey, let's go at each other. Let's, methodically try to break each other down here from that technical aspect. And then obviously, pulling out some of the new maneuvers, especially the big pop to see the Usos put this thing away with the 3D. We're now dubbed the 1D, one and done.
Is that what they're calling it? The 1D?
The 1D for one and done. And it's already received the praise from the Dudleys. Both Bully and Devon have chimed in on social media. Put the Usos over for it, put them over for their tag work, and kind of gave their blessing. And the Usos in turn thanked them for that.
I think that's kind of a nice finisher to have for any team. So it's kind of good that they picked that up, because I can't remember what their actual finisher was as a team for a while. Was it like a double splash? No, that was very early on that they done.
Yeah, they've used some different things here, and I think if you're going to stay relevant like that and stay on top, you got to keep reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
But I like this out of nowhere. They immediately paid homage to the Dudleys, the 3D. And that was really what surprised me, is they actually acknowledged it as the 3D on commentary, and then chime in, and then McAfee chimes in with the 1D. They've reinvented this thing and kind of adapted it to their own.
Yeah. McAfee's reaction was incredible to this as well. He just started screaming, and it shows why he's such a big part on SmackDown, that McAfee just openly just throws things out of there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe he got fed the one and done thing, but part of that would have been a sort of reaction where he's just throw out lines, because he throws out lines out there from completely nowhere, and it's brilliant. So I wouldn't have been surprised if he just picked that out of the sky and just threw it.
I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I really enjoy his commentary. I love the energy.
It gives it life. It really does give SmackDown a new lease on life. You pair him up with Michael Cole, and when you first see them together, when they first started, you would have thought, it's never going to work. It's never going to make sense. They're not going to jive. And I tell you what, it's one of the best commentary teams about just now, in my opinion. Dare say, just because of how they just gel with each other. You've got Pat McAfee can just be as ridiculous as he likes, and Michael Cole can be grounded and just bring him back down now and again. It's a bit like, maybe to a lesser extent, but similar to sort of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain.
Okay, obviously, don't jump all over money here. He's not putting them on their level. He's just making a comparison in the
dynamic.
Styles,
it's that sort of dynamic.
And I think Cole's even credited Pat for helping him find a new voice, maybe refinding himself. I think what makes it so refreshing, as opposed to the Raw side, is you don't have the constant bickering just amongst the commentary team. They are focused right now, even if you don't like that they're plugging their advertising, that they're still getting fed most of what the directions they need to go in here. It's still refreshing to get away from the bickering, where they are more focused on the in-ring.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy the idea of Jimmy Smith on Raw, but I've not watched Raw that much, admittedly, just because I focus on SmackDown more. But Jimmy Smith's commentary is really weird, because he's obviously the play-by-play guy, but then out of absolutely nowhere, and for no rhyme or reason, he'll start throwing color stuff out there, and I don't quite get it. He just sort of decides out of nowhere, okay, I'm good.
I think a lot of it's because he's got to fill in some gaps here when you got
Corey Graves
and Saxton just going back and forth, whatever the hell they're talking about. They're talking about their wardrobe or whatever the hell that they ate for lunch last week, so he's got to kind of keep the flow going.
Yeah, well, that was it. It was another one, the Maurice thing during the Miz and Ez match. We'll talk about it, obviously, but they had this big bicker because Corey Graves just keeps talking about Maurice.
Now, hey, we can talk. We can talk all day. We can just skip the rest of the review and just talk about Maurice if you want. Jeez, oh Pete. I mean, she is phenomenal. But now, Monty, a big win for the Usos. I was a little surprised here. I thought that maybe with Roman gone, this would maybe be a time to pick them off. The head of the table is not there. The tribal chief is gone. Maybe they lose a little direction here. And they look impressive. Where does this leave New Day and the state of the SmackDown Tag Division? We're talking about singles, the singles ranks. I think if this moves New Day back down, getting beat clean like this thing, who can be that next contender, and what's New Day do?
Oh, Christ. I don't even know. I genuinely don't know who we've got left on SmackDown that could do the job. I mean, Hit Row would have been great for this position. Funny that. You could have made a case for something like Ridge Holland and Sheamus if this injury never happened. Just a nice little filler feud.
You got that heel on heel dynamic. I know you've got Madcap and Happy, But again, you got heels there. I mean, I guess you could found something to do with McIntyre and a partner. Now we got something going on there. We've had Cesaro and Ricochet essentially get beat by a one superstar.
Yeah.
They're going to be scrambled. They're going to be scrambling to kind of get some interest going in that tag division.
I mean, you've got the Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, but they're a heel team, so you probably wouldn't really get much out of them. Nakamura and Boogs. I mean, that's probably your best bet. Would be Nakamura and Boogs, but then again, you're still putting the Intercontinental title very much to the side. It's not been defended since September.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen it defended on television on a marquee event. I tell you what, I'd kind of take a couple weeks, use, maybe you don't have to focus on that tag division as much. You're gearing up for the Rumble. If you're really hurt, man, it's tag team wrestling. Let's get a pop. Let's undercard. Let's pop those in the bubble. I'd call up DIY.
You could.
Gargano and Ciampa.
You could, but there is one problem with that there, Rick.
What?
Gargano's not even under contract anymore. He's gone.
He'll come. He's
coming
back. He's coming back. He's
coming back.
He's coming back. This is all ploy here. He's doing some baby stuff here, but if you promise him a nice little WrestleMania run payday, believe me, he'll come back for that.
I don't see him doing it. I would actually much rather see him go to Japan. I really would. I'd like to see him go to like the Super Juniors.
Go to Japan. He's going to have a beautiful new son right here in the great state of the OHIO. And you think he's going to want to go over to the Far East with all that garbage going on?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not? Have some great matches. Just go for it. Just put some like 5-star classics on in there. Get Danielson over there as well while you're at it and just go wild. Go nuts.
Him and Ciampa with the kids on the road to WrestleMania to take on the Usos. That's where the money's at.
It would be. But I don't even know at this stage. Like, my worry is you can't just keep the tag division quiet for too long. Because eventually, if you're just going to focus on single stars, you're not going to have tag teams. You're going to have to scramble them. It's the same problem they have every year. They scramble tag teams together for this WrestleMania event. They'll do. This wrestler will do. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't know. We could have maybe played things out a wee bit better. I feel like we're getting at the realms, like, just thinking when we're talking about the Lesnar Reigns thing, but it feels like unification is not a bad idea for a lot of these titles now. Like the tag titles, just tie them up, put them into one belt, and just have the teams kind of go between shows or kind of do something with that. The women's titles, oh, absolutely. Got to do that with the women's titles. After how we're looking at things on SmackDown.
Hey,
basically, I'm saying, please help us out.
We start unifying all these titles. You know what that also means? It means Nick Khan can step in. That means that there's plenty of room for more cuts because we don't have to fill all these divisions.
Oh, Christ. I'm sitting here trying to come up with this. Is like, give SmackDown a helping hand. Let's get some people over. And as soon as we get the idea, Nick Khan can fire people. Yeah, oh, great.
There you
go. Gone. I mean, he's going to be too busy hacking off 205 Live at this year. If we're being brutally honest, after tonight, was it the North American Cruiserweight Championship? It's going to be called after tonight.
Is that what we're getting? I know the unification's coming up. Is that tonight?
Yeah. Is it? I don't know if it's tonight or is it Wednesday. It's like New Year's Evil thing.
I can't even pay attention. I have NXT on every week, and there's parts of it I enjoy. I love the old school aspect of it. I loved watching OVW back in the day, the Heartland Wrestling Association. I love those indie style shows like that. They just don't have the talent.
No, it's a barren wasteland down there on Tuesdays. Like I tell you, Elizabeth said it's Tuesday they're having this event. Cujo 62, we need a lethal lottery here. I'm up for that. It's better than nothing right now. It's better than.
I love the lethal. I love the lethal lottery. I thought it was good.
Yeah, is that the one with the cards? They all had like a card each, or people were.
They did some different ways with it. But yeah, it's essentially you go in. There's a set of random paired tag teams and matches. And if you win your random tag match, those two people then advance to the Battle Bowl, which was a Battle Royal elimination.
That's pretty cool. Do like a weird pairing tournament of tag teams and just seal it off with a tag title shot. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, it was always pretty interesting.
But wasn't the only tag match we had. We had a really good Big E promo about tonight as well. He really took on the world with it there. He said, it doesn't matter, you can bring your best, bring your beast. So it was quite an exciting time. I was like, I got sad for Big E in this promo because I saw the writing on the wall. You know what? No, we can talk about that when we get to the main event because there's a lot of kind of things to talk about with Big E and my sort of sadness over him losing, even though it was a good decision to have Lesnar win the title, but my sadness over it a little bit. Madcap Moss and Drew McIntyre. We had about 5 minutes longer than I thought it was good. This match, man.
This is this is coming out of the gate second. I guess he could have maybe one of the big complaints outside of again with the time on the show WWE, man. If get me out 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Even as exciting as good as the show is, we start to feign interest where we're getting tired at that point. This one could have been moved a little bit later for that popcorn break. This is where you go to the restroom, cut this thing short, cut out some of those vignettes that we had throughout the thing, some of the commercial, and we're set to go here. Here's my biggest takeaway from this thing. Not a whole lot of interest really in this duo of Madcap and Corbin, the program they got going on here with McIntyre. I would absolutely, and this is a little shout out, a throwback to those that join us on the Monday locker room. I would love to see the good doctor, Ted McNair, Man Beast, simply hired on to WWE to write the jokes for Madcap. Just give him that responsibility. The bad dad jokes, an evolutionized Monday morning monologue written there for Madcap by the Man Beast would set this thing off for me.
Yeah. It's like, what was it they said? That, like, they say Drew McIntyre is one of the goats. Do you know what they call a goat in Scotland? Drew McIntyre's prom date.
Yeah, what was it? He didn't know Atlanta was the biggest city Atlanta is the biggest city in Georgia. He didn't know that they judged that on weight.
Yeah. I suppose you can't really go the long hanging fruit and say, what do you call the goat? His mum, because his mum's passed away. That's
we say that this thing went about 5 minutes too long. It went under 10 minutes. It was 9 minutes.
I know, it was a great match. Like it didn't. I dare say it didn't outstay its welcome. But Madcap Moss just should have got smashed here.
Well, I guess now that we know, because now they're using this match as maybe the storyline example of why McIntyre is going to disappear for whatever that case might be, or if it's legit. We don't know this yet, but they did really try to make a point here for Madcap to. I mean, he was up in this thing.
Yeah, he was kind of giving it a go. Like, I wouldn't be against what he done. He had like a good.
I'm kind of with you though. Go out there, get the jokes in, and then 1, 2, 3, whatever he does, 3, 2, whichever way he counts it, and then boom.
Yeah,
kick his head off, and that would have been it. And I think that would have been much more effective than having to go out there and even go the 10 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, he took a couple gnarly bumps as well while he was out there. He took that belly to belly suplex on the outside and just took flight, man. Jesus. So you don't have to try that hard, but fair fucks to you, mate. He just launched him. He just started running through, whoop, and just you can see him sort of go the height of the ring and just. Good technique on the bump, though. Just landed nice and flat on his back. Well done. But then the other one that got me a bit like, ooh, was the middle turnbuckle. We sort of ran at Drew and then just sort of done this sort of weird shoulder barge into the pole and the turnbuckle and just thumped right off it.
Yeah, and that's what really makes me question, the legitimacy of the injury here. If Drew needs time off for something else, if he has another project going on, maybe they're trying to get people some time off just to make sure that no one gets sick going into the Rumble. That they do have these stars available that they see as their upper echelon. That could absolutely be the case here. It seems that they really went to great lengths to give us reasons, some rhyme and reason why an injury occurred.
Yeah. I mean, just a random thought occurs. Do you think they bite the bullet and just bubble wrap the entire roster and just for a couple of weeks at least do the Thunderdome again? As terrible as it sounds, that would probably be, if you want to guarantee your roster making it to the Royal Rumble, just for that, it wouldn't be the worst idea.
Well, I mean, we've only got a few weeks in here. I mean, I guess if you could I would probably try to keep
I
try to get my television still in. But there's certainly, if you've got some live events scheduled here that you can get out of those deals, you see low ticket sales, whatever the case might be, I definitely would try to pivot away from
schedule. Just kind of move them on. People will be unhappy, but I think the bigger picture here is like you gotta get that Rumble going, because you don't want, as bad as it sounds, you don't really want a Royal Rumble with sort of your lower card talents really filling that up. They've been making a good habit of making Royal Rumbles a bit more star-studded, a bit bigger occasion, as opposed to sort of the older Rumbles where anyone could have went in. You could have been like the very bottom of the card, in you go. You could be sitting in catering, in you go. But they've made a real good point of making sure that the people who make the Rumble are prominent names, as high up the card as possible, and in talents that they're looking to set up down the line for bigger things as well. So it was a big deal for this one. So if they can't keep that going, I would imagine they themselves would look at it this way as well, as if they'd want to keep that going.
We've got 27 days until Rumble. And I got to imagine, if you're Fox, if you're NBC, you're probably not too ecstatic to see them go back to the Thunderdome. No. Just for your ratings and your interest. I mean, we saw the dip there. You're finally back on the road here. You have the live audiences. So at least for television, I could see them trying to push to stay on the road.
Yeah. It just seems like when you see what happened to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, granted, this has probably been an outcome of live shows and house shows rather than TV events. But stuff like that could be enough to scare people into the sort of notion where, hang on, we can't afford another pay-per-view where Roman Reigns can't make it.
This is true. I mean, and that's, they're going to have those conversations with the higher ups.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting time. It probably won't be the case, but it was just that random thought that occurred just as we were kind of mentioning it and kind of trying to justify how things are going to be. Elizabeth pointing out that Johnny Knoxville is in the Rumble this year.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. I was excited for this announcement, man. I'm a Johnny Knoxville guy. That day, loved the Jackass crew. And I like the way he presented this thing, man. He said, hey, you know what? I was sitting thinking about what I want to do. I want to beat some ass. I'm ready to rumble.
Yeah, I liked how it was when you see the T-shirt, it was like Johnny Knoxville had trade mark, but two separate words.
Right.
That was a pretty good touch. It was a really nice touch.
Or whatever. So he's ready to go. What I really hope with this, though, in the build with him, keep him out of the ring. I don't want to I don't even want to hardly see him actually there.
No,
in the arena.
I just want him on the night.
I want these vignettes of him like training, doing jackass things, getting ready for the Rumble.
No, he should do this, right? I don't think he will, but do you remember like the Jackass films, like the last three? He used to go to the Bull rodeo place where they teach the rodeo clowns, and he would just get battered by bulls. I would absolutely love to see him do something like that, where it's like a mock Royal Rumble with like 4 bulls or something. He's got to just try and stay in there.
Give us some of the classic skits, and then even to play in some wrestling. I just have him go to like Butterbean's gym and just let Butterbean punch him in the head.
Yeah,
just let him knock him the fuck out, man.
That was one of the best things I've ever seen when they done that the first film. Just decided gonna fight Butterbean in a shop and just got rinsed.
Well,
bad.
You've got the WWE time because of Bart Gunn. Too.
Yeah. Oh man, he needs to get like Bart Gunn to train him. Just get him in the gym. Like, come on, we can do this. I've been in one before.
You do something like the classic. He's got to toughen up for WWE for the Rumble. So you have that tie-in with Butterbean punching him. Get Scott Hall involved, where you hit Goldberg with the taser, have him tase the shit out of Knoxville. Go look at those tie-ins that you can do from the past. That would kind of, as Johnny's getting ready to show up at the Rumble. I'd love it.
Yeah, my feeling's going to be he's going to get Spike Dudley into a table. You know how like ECW threw Spike Dudley into a crowd? I can see like someone like Omos just picking him up and throwing him at the announce table and putting him through it.
I almost want to see him go number one and like break a time record, but anytime he has someone touch him, it's like the most devastating move we've ever seen.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, like you'd be gutted for Daniel Bryan, but it'd be like the longest running competitor in the Rumble, Johnny Knoxville.
Oh yeah, and then it would just drive all the smarks absolutely insane. So
totally, because banter's not allowed in this industry.
Yes,
apparently. Yes. Speaking of, where were we? Kevin Owens was complaining about Brock Lesnar being added to the title match. He brought up Sami Zayn. He was like, my best friend, my soulmate. I'm going to get him back, and I've got a plan. Step one is I'm going to go speak to Seth. But he doesn't go anywhere. He just stands there for a second. First, he goes, I'm going to speak to Seth. And it just stares blank for a few seconds, and then go. He just walks away. It was a funny promo. It was a nice little Kevin Owens of old promo. So
but,
really,
he's processing things there. He's coming out now. He's midi. He's underhanded. He's a scumbag. He's the Kevin Owens that we've all come to expect. And you had the pop when he mentioned the Sami Zayn stuff.
Yeah,
but, and it was some the work with him and Lesnar. Again, going back to Can't Miss on SmackDown, that was some brilliant work that they had put together.
Yeah, they're tying it well. Sami Zayn is. I'm kind of glad he got a new contract off the back of this. Like, a lot of people thought he was on the way out, but the last few weeks he had on SmackDown recently were just top drawer from him. That's some of the best work he's done in a long time. So he deserved some kind of recognition to get him back on that point. I look forward to seeing what he does when he comes back. I wouldn't be against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens pairing up again at some point. That'd be a really fun sort of. We can come back to that now and again. It's an easy tag team, easy heel pairing. There's always a bit of hijinks and fun out of that there. Or if you want to do the odd couple with Seth Rollins, I'm okay with that too. So he'll Kevin Owens all the way. But we've got a good match coming up next. It was RK Bro versus the Street Profits in the finals, or the finals final of the RK Bro. Is it the Bronament?
The Bronament, yes, the Bronament.
Yeah. I didn't. Do you know who these Migos guys are?
Do I know who the Migos guys are? I'm a middle-aged white guy in the middle of Ohio. Hell no, I have no clue who the hell these guys are. But I tell you, I'm not going to sour on them like most people did with Bad Bunny. I like their energy. Yeah, I thought they were well spoken on the microphone there. They got
a good pop.
Yeah, obviously, I mean. They're the greatest band in the world, isn't there? Of all time, that's what they told us. So
yeah, Seth Rollins are like the biggest. Was it Corey Graves? Like, they're the biggest act in the world right now. I don't even know who these guys are. It took me long enough to realize that Migos was just a shortened down version of Amigos.
Yeah, the three Amigos.
I felt like a right idiot. So I was like reading, because I hadn't seen any of them, so I'm like reading the.
Well, look, you're not that out of touch over there on the other side of the drink. At least you can put together what the hell Migos meant. So hey,
well, I was trying to figure out how to pronounce it.
There's hope for you.
I was like, is it Migos, Migos? I was trying to play with all these announcements. Like, which one is it? Which announcement? And then when they said Migos, I was like, yeah, Amigos, three Amigos. Yeah.
I thought this was
dumb.
Immediately when they came out with RK Bro, yeah, I mean, it's sure enough. And then, going to look at social media, they were actually, taking photos together earlier and all this. But, at first too, we're starting to see a little more relaxed, easy-going side of Randy Orton, his reaction, because he seemed really excited that they were there. For it, wasn't he? He was the first one really pointing at the entranceway for him to come out and join him. Then Riddle kind of joins in. I thought my initial thought, immediately I'm thinking like, man, this is weird that you're bringing out this fresh hip hop group, rappers, whatever case might be, and they're in the opposite corner of the Street Profits, which in some ways that is a lot of who they are. So then I started, I'm thinking, okay, we're getting some foreshadowing here. Because we've seen a much more aggressive Street Profits, just even the way that they carry themselves, that the demeanor's beginning to change. I thought we were going to get the full-blown heel turn here.
They felt a bit like that, didn't they? They really did feel, especially Montez.
They were working, it just even his visuals, his body language is so much different than what we're used to him as being that, that up, that high spirit, have a good time,
very
they're ready to fly. Yeah, there's a much darker vibe and energy around them, even in the way they're working. That moveset's beginning to evolve a little bit. They're pulling back, not hitting so many of those big spots. We're still seeing the athleticism, but not kind of the show-off spots, if you will. I was waiting for that turn in this match. Even afterwards, I thought there was a little, you see that reluctancy to shake hands. Anytime you got champs posing with their backs to the challengers, you're waiting for something to happen. I didn't know maybe if the Migos were going to join up with the Street Profits and they were just going to beat down these white guys, these posers here, what the case is going to be. But I think we're still getting that story being told and it's starting to unfold in front of us.
Yeah. Weird. Part of me thought, I wonder if they're just going to take one of the Migos out just for a bit of drama. It's like, okay, you guys, double team move, get out of there. It would have been a big, something like that would have been, because who was it? There's probably been a few where like a celebrity's been hit with like a finishing move or something like that in the ring, and it gets headlines in like modern mainstream media, like your TMZs or your local news network.
Wait, like here we go. Here we go. Bo was saying the only connection with Migos and RK Bro is a good old Mary Jane. You know what though? This Ben regularly talks about this on the Monday locker rooms and across the platform there. Show that shit. Just don't let people think of, come up to those, those conclusions on their own. Why don't you have somewhere maybe on the pre-show backstage segment instead of all these other stupid ass vignettes that we're getting? Show those guys hanging out with MKS, a little bit of smoke going on, something's happening there where they're all hanging out. Maybe give us a post-celebration, something like that. That's going to pop people. That's going to have people talking a little more.
I'll bet those weed references would do really well. I can see something like that with Randy Orton as well. If he just comes out a bit more, like, as you say, he's starting to become a bit more jovial, a bit more lightened up, and just say, I just gave him a little something before the match to calm him down.
Even if you're not, okay, I know WWE or a kid show, maybe you don't have to exactly be, passing the peace pipe or anything like that.
No, but like, you can kind of, the demeanor's enough.
Well, you're in the locker room there. You could be around catering, and so you got the Migos there. You got hanging out with RK Bro, and MKS shows up with a batch of brownies.
Yeah.
So now you got all of them hanging out. Hell, if he's available, you could always toss in Rob Van Dam, who's out there, got his own line of papers, all of that shit.
Yeah. They could always go back to Raw Underground. Smoke always coming from behind the door.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, let's have a bit of fun with it. Let's just get a bit more. What was I going to say? Yeah, my worry is like the turn's going to happen soon, and I'm at the point where I'm actually just starting to enjoy them as a pairing, which I suppose is always the best time to split up a team. I just want a bit more of this.
Well, I don't think they're going to split. I think you keep the Street Profits together. I think I
mean RK Bro.
Yeah, on that, because I think we all are kind of assuming we're going to get those two squaring off at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
we're eventually going to have the break. Now, early on, because that's kind of been the MO from day one that people have been talking about. But everyone keeps saying, "Oh, it's going to be Randy. It's going to be Randy that turns." I think we're getting it the other way here. I think now that you're seeing, as you said, the more juvenile Randy Orton here, he's starting to ease up. And what does Riddle keep wanting to do? He wants to become more like Randy. So he's going to turn into the snake, and he's the one that's going to strike and bite first.
Like, could you imagine, like, Matt Riddle going heel, and rather than having his hair, he ties his hair back, changes his music. He's a bit more like the Kurt Angle wrestling machine days, where he just comes out and just mashes people, just wrecks them, just brings back more of his MMA style, gets some elbows in there.
I'd like to have that more in there. I think there's got to be a balance where you don't want to lose the identity of the stoner. I think that's really him on his cartoon side turned up. I think you just got to find more of the real Matt Riddle, that real personality, and let that, instead of going so cartoonish with it.
I mean, I always feel like if you're going to do a really good heel turn, there has to be a big shift in dynamic for it to sort of stick. Because I feel my always worry is that when you do things like this, when you don't change enough over time, people forget it.
Then people aren't as motivated to move their stance on you.
Yeah, like I dare say one of the better heel turns in a long time, apart from Roman Reigns, of course. Like he's one of the best ones in a long, long time. Was Bayley in a weird way. She had this sort of hugger persona. She was happy. She did all this stuff. And it was a slow descent into her heel turn. And when the time came, she changed her hairstyle. Her music changed. She changed her look. And you know what? for better or worse, I thought she done a really good job for it. You know, she was a really good heel at times.
Another good one here for Bobo. They'd see with back to the smoke thing. Just a little smoke coming out of Randy's bust would have been great. I don't know if anyone here has ever been to a Willie Nelson concert. I've seen him around anywhere like that, but you think that thing is on fire when he is pulling in and out of the busing stations. I mean, there is just smoke pouring out of that thing. I think that would have been great too. Just open the door. And you could even look, they could sell it like an entrance, but it's just, we know what the hell it is. It's smoke pouring out of this door of the bus, and they're all getting off of the thing.
Yeah. Or you could do like weird skits where it's like you see smoke from a door and you walk in and they're actually in a sauna, or you walk in and they're actually working in a kitchen.
And then one time you actually do walk in and they are smoking a joint.
Yeah. It's like, I knew it. I knew they were having that. Oh, give me some. But you know what? It was a good match as well. I quite enjoyed the double team RKO as well to finish this off. Matt Riddle throwing him up in the air. Because I've always liked the RKO on Seth Rollins that he done. You bumped him up and hit it. And you get to see little bits of it, but you never really get to see that proper up, down on an RKO. So
I like the pacing. I like the pacing of this one. Obviously, you have the opening tag bout for the SmackDown Championship. They did a phenomenal job. They go 17:05. These guys just went over 10 minutes, and they got a lot in.
Yeah, like loads. That's what I think. What I liked about the show is it's high energy, and we kind of talked about the Edge and Miz match, and I'll point that a bit. There wasn't a lot of wasted movement in a lot of these matches tonight. From the bottom to the top, they were just constant movement, things happening. We just got to get going, snap, 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 keep it tight. And it made for really easy watching. But the time flew by. It didn't really feel like I was kind of sitting a lull. I wasn't bored.
You did have your good pacing here. As I said, got 17:05 for the opening match. We come out with McIntyre and Madcap. Even though we thought it went a little too long, you're under 10 minutes. This goes just over 10, but the pacing is tremendous. All of these guys are incredible performers, incredible athletes. They're getting their stuff in here. Then, we transition here, as you mentioned, Edge and Miz. You weren't necessarily a big fan of this one. I really enjoyed this match. I didn't realize that this went 20 minutes.
It went for too long.
I did not realize that it went 20 minutes on this thing. But as I was telling you before we started recording here, before we went live with the chat group, I really enjoyed this because these guys work so differently than everyone else on this card. I mean, these are two more old school style. They're going to take their time. They're going to tell their story. They're going to properly set up moves and then boom, hit you with a big spot, work it back around, build back up, build that energy back up to that another big payoff. Yeah. And again, this is also 20 minutes that we get to look at Maurice. So I don't know if I can ultimately complain about it going too long.
Too. To be fair, there was a lot of looking at Maurice in this one. A lot of that, because you had the commentary talk about her, the camera kept panning to her now and again. She was up to something for a lot of this, but I don't know. For me, it just felt sluggish. They lied. There was a lot of sort of double count out spots where they're outside the ring line down or in the ring line down. We were recovering. It just felt really slow. It felt more like a TV match for my liking than a pay-per-view match, especially considering the build and all the stuff. And you have Edge doing the Brood things again. I was maybe expecting a bit more of an action-packed match. They can both bring it. I don't mind a bit more of a technical affair, a bit more of a methodical match, but I don't want to be spending probably about 5 minutes of that where resting periods. Like, we don't need that. You can have one big one and show that they're tired, but it just slogged on and take a while.
This thing actually went 20. I enjoyed it in the real time that I was watching again because I like the kind of the wear downs. This truly is a roller coaster, if you will, because it's not all death defying drops and loop de loops and corkscrews and all that. You have to spend those times climbing those big hills, to getting a little bit of time in those big turns before you get to all the thrills of the ride itself. So I enjoyed it there. I've enjoyed the build to this thing, even as corny as the wedding spot kind of was. There was a little bit, and even going back to the beginning, what'd you think of the entrance there? That was something I had in my notes too. And Edge, he keeps going to that Brood thing, and if you recall, Gangrel said he lost an AEW booking spot because Edge started using this, and they didn't want to have to sample it for something with him on AEW because hey, if you get the product to the market first, whoever gets to air with it first, they get claimed to that thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. I like this though. I do like I like it for bigger matches. Maybe not so keen on like a pay-per-view like this, but I like the vibe.
Well, I
like him doing.
It lends in because what Miz has been saying is you don't have it anymore. You're predictable. You're not the old you. So I mean, what do? You go back to the very first you.
Yeah.
And then you hit the altered bridge. So you get the classic entrance there. Coming out immediately, my thoughts go to as I look at the modern day landscape, just not WWE, but professional wrestling. You look at somebody like Edge, who is into his late 40s here, even Sting in Sting's like upper 50s, whatever it might be. I don't know, it might be in his 60s right now. Those guys still have that it factor. They still have that star power. You look at them and you're like, damn, these guys are mega stars. These are pro wrestlers. These are the guys we were in awe of at one time, what professional wrestling should be. And these guys still got it. So you always hit that intensity when Edge is out there.
Yeah. I mean, he was good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's had a bad match since he came back. I just felt like this one was really slow. It just maybe could have cut about 5-10 minutes out of this and maybe got the same effect. No, especially considering the finish.
That's where I soured, was the finish.
Yeah. It seemed to drag on a bit until we got like it was also framed weird as well. Obviously, you had Maurice getting involved too much, which I can appreciate and understand. That's always a good time to bring someone back out. But then you have the Miz sort of just pointing and staring for a bit, and then a bit of nothing, and then all of a sudden, here comes Beth Phoenix, who I couldn't tell was Beth Phoenix, by the way, at first. It took me a hot second to realize that it was Beth Phoenix.
It looks like there might have been a production issue on this thing.
Yeah.
Because you have her, they go to her, they pan away from her real quick, and then the music hits. It was almost like there was some kind of miscue where maybe she hit the spot a little quick. They weren't ready in the truck, but there was a little bit of a misfire. And I think, without that, and this, God forbid, the stupid, just asinine logic that we have seen for a better part of 2 decades, where can you not enter the arena unless you have entrance music? I mean, what about the element of the surprise and then letting that natural pop happen when you hit the ring to make that big save?
That just
drives me absolutely insane when they have to do that.
Do you remember Vampiro at that Triple A show?
Yeah,
I was like, "Where's my fucking music?" he's literally right next to the ring, and Matt Striker's got to go. I think everyone's waiting for the call that would say that Vampiro is good.
Yeah, that's Beth kind of, she doesn't know what to do. Like, where the hell's my music? Like, am I allowed to move yet? Or, it's just like musical chairs. You have to stop, and you can only move when there's music going on. But the look. I mean, was she Rufio? Was it Dog the Bounty Hunter? Was it Max the Impaler? I don't know what she was going for, but the finish itself, I mean, and people are like, they're already talking about, and yes, we're in January. The Rumble's just at the end of the month. We're gearing up for WrestleMania. People are jumping all over this. Oh, intergender match at WrestleMania. All this WrestleMania talk, we need to slow down a little bit here. I think we're giving WWE a little too much credit. That's 3 months of creative they have to come up with.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if we're going to give them that much credit that they can sustain sustain really any interest in multiple programs kicking off the first of the year, and it's got to pay off 3 months later.
Yeah.
That's why I thought that this is where I would have booked into this thing, right? And I think they're rushing the booking on this thing. I'm expecting they're going to give us this mixed tag at the Rumble.
Yeah.
I would have done the boot to the head. Miz gets the hits to the skull, crushing finale, gets the 1, 2, 3 as they're gloating, maybe setting up for another one without music. Beth Phoenix hits the ring, makes the save. Then you have them kind of bickering back and forth. Have Miz then get a next upper hand on Edge by eliminating him from the Rumble. Now you've got all this heat. You got the babies working from under. You got the heat on your heels here. At the if you wanted to do the intergender at WrestleMania, then at the February pay-per-view, let's have Beth and Maurice get in the ring one-on-one, then pay it off with the intergender match, the mixed tag at WrestleMania, if you wanted to go that route. But
I would have done it slightly differently. I would have had just the distraction win. Miz wins here. And then you don't have Beth come out this one. And then I would do the Rumble thing again. I'd have.
I would agree with that. Then hold off Beth for a little bit.
As long as you can.
I could do that.
And then have the Miz eliminate Edge again at the Rumble, maybe with Maurice's help, because that's the story we're going here. That she's the kind of thorn on the side of Edge. And then after the Rumble, get to the next pay-per-view, and that's when you bring Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, I would be okay. We would have that conversation. My only maybe counterpoint there, especially if you go back to last Monday with the wedding, that crowd was hot for Phoenix. They wanted her. And I think that's what really took away from that moment at the end where you drop, the tar or whatever, you're playing on off as all over the happy couple renewing their vows there.
Yeah.
They were wanting Phoenix. They wanted that payoff, and they did respond well to her here in Atlanta. They responded to everything, but I really think that they were really into her. And if you were going to hold off on Phoenix getting introduced in this thing, you should have kept her on NXT a little longer.
Yeah. So, because I was wondering that when she decided to leave, I thought, is this just her calling it?
Yeah, I think at this point, it's just kind of like, okay, it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Because she leaves the statement, thanks for NXT. I had an amazing run here to work with amazing people, learn so much, but I want to spend more time with my family, with my husband and my kid. So what better way to spend more time together than tag team with them?
Yeah. It's like, sorry, kids, mom and dad's going to be away for a while.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Hope you like the babysitter.
When we do get this mixed tag, are we going to get the families run out here? The entire Phoenix and Edge with their kids, Miz and Mr. and Miz and Mrs. with their kids.
Oh my God, could you imagine? That'd be brilliant. Have Mrs. Dad come back as well. He's actually on the scene now. Is he not on the circuit now? Actually, Mrs. Dad. I think I saw somewhere he was like signing autographs at like a convention not long ago.
I'd say he'd probably.
And he might have appeared at a show somewhere as well. So he's getting his work in there. He's getting his licks in. He's getting his minutes.
I didn't bother him for a autograph or anything. Not that I would bother anybody for one, but I did see him and said hello to him one time he runs some sandwich chains in Northern Ohio. Mr. Hero there. It's a sub shop.
Nice. I would be all about that. Good stuff. I'd get him in. Get the kids having a little. Get kids sitting there, all dressed up nicely, watching their parents just beat the piss out of each other for about 15 minutes. One family of kids are going home happy. The other one's going to be upset, crying at the side of the ring. Get the camera right in their face so you can see the tears come down. It's a fucking great. Okay, maybe I'm a bit sinister that way. Maybe that's a bit mean.
So you're getting a little dark over there.
I was getting
Come on, money.
Yeah, 2 weeks of illness can do that to a man.
There you go. Let's speaking of a little dark here, let's our next match, man. 17 minutes. Becky Lynch, Liv.
Was it 17 minutes?
I'm looking at some of these times and I just can't believe. Yeah, this one too. 17 minutes, almost 20 minutes.
Is that including the entrances, or is that like bell to bell?
This is bell to bell. This is match time.
I can't believe it. I thought it went way quicker than that.
It's
I like this one.
I
enjoyed this.
I guess this was probably one of the better. I don't know if it's saying much better Liv Morgan matches that I've seen. I think they really need. Liv Morgan would have greatly benefited from a true system like OVW to really teach her the ins and outs here instead of just going through the cookie cutter performance center routine that they have here. Obviously, beautiful woman, very marketable, has for whatever reason that it maybe I don't understand, but I'm not blind to it as a marketing professional. There is a connection. People want to rally around her. Unfortunately, I just don't think that the company is giving her the tools to really take her to that level to truly be successful.
Yeah.
I'm not overly high on Becky myself, but I mean, she's in another class here from Liv. But besides all of that, we're talking, dark places. They were dressed like a tag team as opposed to opponents.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both in that, that tight black leather dominatrix kind of gimmick shit going on here. I don't know. If you want to kind of lift people up, if you are that little girl, that hero to everyone here, change the look, Liv. You need something that's a little more.
I would have liked to bring back a bit more of the colorful. What do you call them? Tires that she had before.
I think the whole, just the outfit she had on would have worked in white.
Ooh, that would have been a shame.
I mean, we've so lost track of this. I mean, it's very easy. I mean, it's something you could see throughout old Westerns, the history of television, cinema, whatever the case might be. You can identify the good guy by what they're wearing, right? Good guys wear white.
Or why not have Becky have some kind of weird, crazy costume? Because you started getting into the whole Seth Rollins idea of crazy jackets and sunglasses and all that stuff. I would just come out with some crazy ring gear as well, proper designer shit, just for fun. Just because she can, and just make her.
It would be an annoyance. And come out dressed like Lady Gaga or some shit. I don't
totally just come back as someone who just wants to have a. I want to see a bit more of that ego coming back, Labra. But wearing black is cool. I mean, it really is. We are victims of our own childhood in terms of black becoming a trend.
And we're both sitting here wearing black today. But
yeah, well, mine's is grey. I've got a grey.
Oh, okay.
Edinburgh Fringe t-shirt on, jumper on today. I do wear black quite a lot though. I should really change it up. That might be one of my New Year's resolutions this year. I would be wearing
you are a bad boy. People don't like you, so you can wear black.
Oh, thanks. I thought it was quite likable, but there we are. It's been a while since I cut a promo on a HMG platform. Maybe now's the time. Maybe I go Brad Shepherd on you fuckers. Sorry for that. That's a bad joke. Badly timed joke, guys. Sorry. That's something we'll just keep to the side. We'll keep that to the side for now.
But yeah,
this match.
I thought this was probably one of the better Liv Morgan matches that I've seen.
Yeah. She kept pace really well.
Again, I think maybe not my cup of tea here, not my flavor. We've seen it repeatedly over and over. This, I'm a lost little girl without a voice. This is my dream. We've seen that vignette. I thought that, we didn't need it here again, but I guess WWE, they realize people aren't watching weekly. So a lot of people haven't seen it, so they have to keep, kind of just jamming this down our throats.
Yeah.
They really did build up here. Is this the big moment? So I think in there, you're like, okay, how are they going to take this away from her again? How is she going to be robbed? She's so close. It's within her grasp to reach this dream. So many people following her. And the story has been, Becky just relying on those ropes. And it looked like that was going to be once again, Becky is going to cheat her way to steal victory away from Liv. And well, I think it's very safe to say this is the botch of the year.
Oh my God. I was just about to talk about the beautiful sunset flip moment that we had. But then
yes. Okay.
But we'll go back to that because that was the fucking pits. The fact that she got the pin and you can see Becky just trying to scramble with this one leg just to have it on the rope. It's like, if you can't reach it, don't try. You know what I mean? Or even look behind you for a second and see if you can reach that. And if you can't, shit happens. Just pin her clean. It is what it is. We'll figure it out along the road. We'll find a way. Because it was a fair enough finish where she did the finisher. You could have been like, she caught her and hit the manhandle slam. You didn't really need to cheat it. You could have just went, bam, job done. I just got lucky. It could have been like a lucky hit. I just picked my chance. Like if I didn't slip up or take a split second too long, I would have had you. But
I would say she is a good foot and a half away from get up and up on
miles away. Miles away.
You can see, obviously where she's even leaning back I'm giving you the kind of.
There's a point where she's off Liv
on audio. I mean, yeah, she's almost off of her, trying to get everything she can to get her foot up there. I thought it was even strange the positioning of the referee, because she is square on, looking right
at it.
Yeah, you can clearly see any kind of weird body movement there. It's not like she's positioned like kind of catty corner off to the side, or maybe she, there's a weird angle where she's not going to see what Becky's doing. You're obviously going to see her fully extended up on that second rope, what she was shooting for there.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're immediately telling Liv, what happened afterwards, because she's got to be wondering why here. I think this makes her look really bad, getting put down clean as hell with this thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, I kind of like the whole one mistake cost her. But any other time, it's like Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Remember, there was like that big story.
If this was the first time, I'd get that. But that's been the whole build here, is because she's been close, and Becky's been cheating. But Becky just puts her down. Becky tries to cheat and didn't even have to cheat.
Yeah, she didn't have to cheat. But I like the whole notion of like, she went for this move and she got it wrong and she paid the price for it. And the reason I referenced the Shawn Michaels Undertaker thing was that whole build-up was Shawn Michaels saying, that one mistake cost me. I would have won it if I didn't make that mistake. I had you. And she could have been on a bit of a crusade to try and get a rematch. I was like, I beat you. I know I can beat you. I'll do anything. I'll take the chance. Or even if you really want to go that sort of way, so like, if I can't beat you, I won't challenge you for the title again. I will not challenge you until such a point where someone else is champion. I'm
curious though
and really hype up the sort of suspense of saying like, she has to win. Can she win? And
I don't know. I think maybe they were going to try to get one more match out of this thing, maybe just another month out of the program before they kind of refocus on whatever they have Becky planned for her at WrestleMania.
Probably be
as again, I know people have, there's been a good group that have been very positive behind Liv, but I don't think there was ever any serious consideration to go with her as your champion at this point.
I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. Honestly, like when we were watching,
to me, that's just such pandering booking.
It is, but sometimes, given like we talked about our popularity, our connection with the crowd and the audience, it doesn't have to be a long run. It could be just like a couple of months. Just give her the moment.
We just saw that with Nikki Ash.
Well, that was different because that was so dumb in many levels that I think if they just kept Nikki as Nikki Cross and done it, it would have worked miles better.
If they would have actually invested and spent some time developing the superhero character instead of, boom, this week she's a superhero because she's almost a superhero because she believes, if we would have had that, a month of letting the story unfold where you see Nikki Cross as herself, but then you're seeing the superhero pop up where we all know this, but she's not selling this thing. Then you have reporter Gregory Helms on the scene. He's trying to undercover who this thing is, but then we start seeing her, Hurricane pop up. You could bring in Super Molly. There's a lot you could have done there with that thing. Hell, just outside of that, your merchandise machine would have been incredible selling those capes, those masks to little kids, especially little girls. You had a full-blown here between your merch, your marketing, and storytelling campaign that could have been incredible. But no, again, 6 months of booking in 60 seconds for WWE, and this thing fell flat as shit. I don't think she ever got a piece of Nikki Ash merch. There was like a plaque of her winning the title. Maybe there might be now, but within that first month, there wasn't shit. It was still old Nikki Cross t-shirts when you could have been really pushing this thing on the young audience.
I'll tell you something though, as someone who's like followed Nikki Cross and her career and seen her as like Nikki Storm and ICW things, I'm surprised they didn't turn her heel. I really am. Like when they did I thought it would have been a great idea to have her start off as doing this almost a superhero shtick. And she's got this thing behind the kids. It's almost a bit like Piper Niven right now, where they get the kids on side. It's a nice baby face pop, doing all these little things. Then she wins Money in the Bank. Just keeping it going, get that build up of it. Doing, as you say, maybe start putting out some things like some merch or some more things to get the kids involved in buying toys and all this stuff. Then she cashes in, keep it going for a little bit longer, and then just watch that slow descent into like desperation to keep the title by any means necessary. And then having that ego come in, it's like, I'm not a superhero, I'm the best in the galaxy. And bring that sort of persona that she had where she was just ruthless and a bitch as well. She was just not a nice person when she worked heel for ICW, and it worked magic because she had some great matches. In fact, Piper Niven's on Raw, Kaylee Ray's over on NXT. They had one of the best women. Well, they had the triple threat for the women's title there. It was fantastic, man. Such a great match from all three of them. So she's got it in her to have a good match. She can do great character work. You just need to give her a chance. And as you say, this ASH bollocks is just killing her.
They mismanaged it out of the gate, and now even if she would, if she kind of goes with the direction you're talking, I just think it's so far gone with her right now.
Yeah, it is so far gone. But I think we can get someone else's opinion on the matter. We've got a nice little surprise for you live today as the one and only Happy New Year to the Vet. Hello, my man. Happy New Year. How we doing? Thanks for joining us on such short notice, per se.
Or should we say the Chew Year?
The Chew.
Oh, hey guys, what you doing? Podcasting?
What's going on?
Hey, it's what everyone does around here. We don't have any lives or anything like that. So at all hours of the day, across the globe, actually, here we talk about this garbage.
So what I miss? I told James to vamp by letting you hate on Becky Lynch till I got home.
Oh, we got there.
Did it work out okay?
Yeah, we got there. We went from Becky Lynch into talking about Nikki ASH's sort of careening into sort of a fault on that one. We just finished talking about, well, I say finished, but we're sort of in the groove of talking about the Becky Lynch Liv Morgan match. We were actually talking about the finish. I don't know if you happened to spot that, where Becky Lynch trying to put her foot on the rope terribly.
Looked like a spacing issue. She probably was supposed to be a little bit closer, but
yeah,
that's fine.
No, I'll let you go.
Well, I was going to ask you that on this thing. Obviously, the way she is like overly reaching on this thing, you can tell in her mind, she's like, oh shit, we're out of position here. I even thought it was funny, the position of the rep to be so square on. Even if she got her feet up there, anytime that you're looking at her, you're going to see that thing. The whole setup to this thing is weird, but I guess ultimately they're looking to tell that story to get a little more longevity out of this. Becky just, using those ropes to one-up Liv as we continue to get the vignettes, the lost little girl looking for her voice, chasing her dream. Does this accident finish? Does it derail that storyline? Does it look ultimately bad that she was even trying to cheat and didn't need to put you down?
How can it look any worse than it already has, buddy? I
was putting over this is probably the best I've ever seen Liv look in a match, but also the curve there, take into consideration.
Yeah, you can't have everything. Sometimes sometimes it just is like that, guys. Like you can have all your stuff like laid out for you, and it looks good on paper, and then you get in there and just doesn't work out, or some little mistake happens, and that's what people remember. Hopefully not, though. I thought this was a good match. I think you're right, RBV. This was the best that Liv Morgan ever has looked in a single match. Maybe because it's the biggest profile match that we've even had a chance to see if she could get anything real out of it. And Liv Morgan, let's face it, like. I gotta say this about Becky. I know you're not the biggest fan. I am, and I think that this was a good showcase of like not just this match, but maybe like the whole sort of program is a good showcase of how the heavy lifting that Becky has had to do to try to help make Liv Morgan somewhat relevant to people. Liv Morgan is not like she just stepped out of the Performance Center. She's coming up on her 8-year Stone Cold Steve Austin run. You know what I mean? Like the proverbial 8 years. I remember when she was NXT doing the little like sort of hip hop kind of wannabe gimmick.
Yeah.
Remember that kind of, and like so. But she survived through a lot. She survived several rounds of cuts. She survived dating Enzo. She survived the Riot Squad. And people have she survived bubble bath vignettes. She's survived so much and worked so hard, and people have just not cared, and maybe rightly or wrongly, the audience hasn't really cared. And I don't think it's Liv's fault. I think it's definitely the company's fault for so many starts and stops, and you know, you saw it, you were there. So like all that being said, the first time I ever heard even a remote resemblance of a crowd reaction to Liv Morgan is after Becky has been doing the mic work to sort of like try to get people interested in her. I'm not saying that it was 100% Becky, like she, you know, like she wasn't booking it probably, but she had to go out there and do whatever shit, you know, whatever the shit creative they directed her with, and she had to make the lemonade out of that. So you've seen people like, I'm not gonna say Liv Morgan got over. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. So don't get me wrong with that. But I am saying Becky has helped. She's done her part to try to make her relevant by carefully choosing her words and promos and doing things like that. And then when it comes down to this match, she wants to make Liv Morgan credible for whatever's next. If the plan's not to go with Liv, then we can't just throw Liv Morgan in the trash. So Becky did her part in this match, the way the match was done. I will say this. I don't know why. I don't like it. I don't know why she does it. The whole, you know, the overacting like, oh, I can't believe I can't beat Liv Morgan type shit. I don't know why she's doing that. She should know better than that. Maybe somebody's telling her to do that. I don't know. But you know, I don't get that part, but everything else I really enjoyed it. She did the right things. She fulfilled her role. She showed why she's the man, why she's a top guy. And here's where the WWE drops the ball, right? What is next for Liv? If Liv can't beat Becky, and they're clearly not going with Liv beating Becky, what's next for Liv? Liv's got to get put in an angle right away so that there's a reason she's not still going after Becky, because nobody else is really, you know, what is she supposed to do? Just quietly step aside? You know, like if you're in a combat sport, you're always gunning for the top, right? So if Becky's, you know, Becky was probably supposed to cheat here to give her another out. That didn't work. Now she got beat flat. So now more than ever, they need to come in right away with somebody on Liv to get her off of Becky and then get somebody else with Becky for now. That's what they got to do. We'll see if they do it. I can almost promise you they won't, but that's what's got to happen.
I mean, I'm just as you say, I'm just trying to figure out who you could bring in to do that job. I mean, Bianca Belair, probably more likely to go for Becky Lynch and lead up to Mania. Piper Niven could be a potential shout. Do you want Liv to go back to Carmella and Selena Vega after the SmackDown run that they had? Not too keen on that.
You know, with Piper, you set up kind of that ultimate David and Goliath.
Yeah.
You know, the little underdog. You know, let Liv work that. Maybe see if she can get some momentum back, picking up a win in that program. Again, you know, before you joined us here, man, I said the same thing. This was kind of a stopgap to get Becky to whatever she's going to do for Mania. I don't think there was any long-term, any real consideration about putting that thing on Liv. They just, for whatever reason, you know, she has rallied some people behind her. It has drummed up a little bit of interest. I'll go with you on this one. Credit to a little bit, but credit to Becky, who has elevated Liv inside of this program. Someone in the chat mentioned here previously, the Liv to win the Rumble. I will blow my fucking brains out if that happens.
No, that's not going to happen. Come on.
I know. So that's why I'm safe in making that assessment. That's not going to happen.
I don't even know who wins the Rumble.
Yeah, who wins the Rumble, guys? I don't know, but let's see what the chat thinks. But I also want to add this, like, before we go off that match. You know, who says that lady wrestlers can't have sex appeal? I mean, Jesus, did you see how they were dressed?
We talked
they
about
look like they were supposed to be in Frank Miller's Sin City.
Yes.
In that shit. You know what I mean? Two gorgeous women battling it out, you know?
Dominatrix both set up. What got me too is one of the first notes I made. They look like a tag team instead of opponents.
Kinda, yeah.
I want to put Liv, if you want to keep living in that same outfit, but make it white. Give us the distinction that she is the good guy here. If somebody's just tuning in outside of the little girl with the voice vignette that we get, you know, played every 10 minutes inside of this damn program. Right. But yeah, they look like a damn tag team inside of this thing.
Sexy tag team. A hot, sexy tag team.
Would it be
you go through these people that are following Liv? I was looking around for reactions through some chat groups this morning and all that, and everyone, I can't wait till Liv wins. She's sexy. No one's talking. Hey, she's got one of the great skill sets. I love watching her in the ring. She's great psychology, tremendous charisma, amazing on the mic. 99.9 of the comments, I root for Liv because she gives me a boner. That's what you're getting from this audience.
Well, to be fair, they can't root for anything else because none of those things that you mentioned is really.
That's fair.
Bless her. I'm not.
Come on, give her a chance. Like she does her best.
8 damn years, son.
I can't believe it's been that long. We were just talking about that too before you jumped in. Hey, now before we start talking about the marquee, the main draw here, go back. Anything else you want to jump on? Overall thoughts on the show?
Yeah.
No, because I jumped in at this match. I just sped through. That's all I had time. I watched it on my break. I watched these 2 matches on my break, so I only saw the last 2 matches. And that's all I can really speak to.
Okay.
Not bad 2 matches to watch if you're being fair.
Let's get to it. What did you think of? Obviously, it worked. You knew going in here the announcement. Roman, hey, he gets he gets put down with the COVID. It gets him. Lesnar into the other title match, making it a fatal 5-way. What were your thoughts going into the match with the move?
I didn't know that. I just went and watched the match and saw that Brock Lesnar was in it. Yeah, I've been off of all I've been cut off from the outside world.
Okay, so you went in completely with the big surprise. So what was your thought then? It's like, holy shit, what, Lesnar's in this match now?
I kind of was, yeah. Like, just okay, so I guess that's their way of still delivering on, the promise of a Brock Lesnar. And obviously everybody knows by now they made a very interesting creative decision here. With this match, so yeah, sure, whatever, man. I don't even care. Like, well, you got to understand, like, whatever the WWE does at this point is inconsequential to me. They're just burning through whatever little ideas they have, so I don't really put too much stock into like things like this. It's the show's going to go on no matter what they do. So throwing Brock in there, is fine. It's hot shotting, I guess. We're since they obviously didn't have a plan for this, they don't have a plan for the things that they plan for. So imagine just making last minute decisions like, where's this going to go? This could lead to some very interesting things. I just have no faith that they'll get there.
That's going to be, everyone's so excited right now talking about WrestleMania, and I keep just pausing, trying to remind people that's 3 months away. I think you're giving them you're giving them far too much credit. Let's just worry about if they can get their asses through the end of the month to the Rumble at this point.
Well, with this situation, I can kind of trust them a little bit more because there's Bobby Lashley, so we can get a little treat for ourselves over the next couple of months. I mean, if they really wanted to keep this going to Roman Reigns to WrestleMania, this is the best opportunity to do it because they can keep Lesnar distracted with Lashley for a while, get some. We've all been asking for that kind of match for ages now, so it's about time we get a big marquee match with them. If I'm maybe being a bit pernickety, I'd maybe rather had Lashley and Lesnar at WrestleMania and kind of do it that way, but here we are.
What do you think, guys? What about Roman and Brock at the Rumble? Unify these motherfuckers. Then that puts a spin on the Rumble winner because now he's going for one guy. And then they can go back to that whole thing. Because there's two. Look, man. Can we just stop with all these titles? Can we just really? Like, there should be, there should be one champion. I'm not saying anything everybody else hasn't said 1,000 times, and nobody likes 2 championships. Nobody in the world. I've never heard anybody say they like that. No kid ever was watching wrestling as a kid and said, I want to be the champion of Raw when I grow up. Nobody cares about that. They want to be the champion. You know what I mean? So how about we just unify these titles? And then if you want these single titles like a United States Intercontinental, those can be the champions of Raw and SmackDown. However you want to sort that out. And they'll be like the effectively the television champions, of those shows. And then there should be one set of tag team champions because you don't have a deep enough. Well, actually you do, but you're not going to book them like that. So since you're not going to book your tag division right, let's just have one set of champions. Let's just have one main champion, one women's champion. Do the women even have tag team champions anymore? I don't know who they are. I forgot.
Oh, you got the queen and the most beautiful woman in the WWE universe. Come on.
Oh, they are actually the tag team.
They have them now.
And they still got the NXT ones as well.
Yeah, we got the NXT. We got belts everywhere. What are you talking about? 2 champions. I thought people loved those. The Kansas City Chiefs are in town today, and I think they're walking around with their AFC championship belts on. They're bragging about that. Nice. They didn't need the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, where else do you have that where you got 2 world champions that, walking around bragging about this?
Apologies about my Cleveland Browns comment the other day, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, I had you on in a public place in Cleveland. People were not too excited.
Did they just start booing like out of nowhere?
Actually, sadly enough, you kind of get the pause, like they want to say something pissed, and then they realize it's kind of true, and then they just go on with their business.
Hey, well, don't worry. Like in your defense, the real Cleveland Browns are the Baltimore Ravens, and they have won Super Bowl. So
they won Super Bowl, so it's good there. But no, I lost my train of thought of what the hell we were talking about.
We were talking about too many champions, and
but as I pointed out to Money here beforehand, though, we start combining divisions. Then Nick Khan, he can release more people, so it's a win-win for WWE.
Although I think Nick Khan would just release people regardless anyway. As soon as it seems to be as quick as not till Keenan now gone.
But I do like the idea of instead of waiting till WrestleMania to merge these things. Let's heat it up immediately. Let's do this at the Rumble. Let's up the stakes for the winner of the Rumble. Who would you go with there? I mean, do you go with Lesnar? Do you go with Roman?
Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would go the other way and set up and then have Lashley win the Rumble, and I'd set up Lesnar versus Lashley at WrestleMania. But then we got that damn 2-night thing where we need 2 big matches.
We could do. Yeah, we could do that. I forgot about the 2-night thing, James. But you could still do that. If you wanted to get Brock and Lashley in a match, they don't have to be for the title. They could just have a match too. So
I can see. I've had conversations where people that doesn't need that, especially if you're kind of presenting it in the shoot format. But I mean, I just think it's that spice that makes it extra nice, especially when you're running this thing out to FS1, to ESPN. You're trying to get this thing picked up by outside major platforms. That hey, we've got 2 badass dudes from MMA. We're bringing you the fight that world never could. It's coming to you at the biggest, at Dallas Stadium, possibly the biggest WrestleMania of all time. We could pull all this thing off here, and it's for our belt. Our top belt. There's only one belt, and these motherfuckers are going to go throw down.
I would agree with you because you're right in theory, but as you know, like as we all sadly know, like over the recent years, the spectacle of WrestleMania has overshadowed anything resembling like sports competition, anything. It's like, all right, guys, here's 20 matches. let's like it. Nope, nothing has any time to. Somebody wins, they don't really get their moment. It's like, nope, we gotta cut from this and show you a package for the WWE Network, which you already are watching this on. So yes, good job advertising it to you. You know what I mean? So like stuff like that. Has been what they've done in the past. Now Peacock, that's what they'll push. There'll be commercials for Peacock on this. It's like, well, how else are you supposed to be watching this? So it's like they do shit like that to pad out the length of these things, and it just feels like all of WrestleMania just feels cheap. So I don't know if it really matters as much if you want the match. You could still do it. You could also have some sort of way where you work a night 1 finish into a night 2 finish.
Well, that's what I was going to lean into there. Do you think they would go the Wrestle Kingdom of past years approach where they have
or this
the Rumble
year.
winner?
This year even.
This year they're doing it as well, yeah. But you could have the Rumble winner pick his champion. So maybe Lashley wins the Rumble and he wants Lesnar. And then you could have Roman Reigns be like, all right then, I want the winner. Or something like that, or you could do it the other way around where it's Lashley and Reigns and Lesnar, because apparently he can do what he wants now anyway. I'll take the winner and we'll unify the title. So you can have night 1 main event as a world championship match, and then night 2 main event could be the match for all the marbles, unify world championship. And maybe it loses its luster a little bit because there's always the risk of you've got to build 2 different. 3
There's no luster. Remember separately. That. So you just do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, but the build would be a bit awkward because you've got to build 3 different storylines within the one story. You know, you'd have to have your night 1 main event, then you'd have to have whoever's the other guy in night 2 have some kind of minor feud with the other 2 in its own separate universe in a weird way. So it would be tricky. They could do it, or you could do is like New Japan are doing and just have one proper feud in the New Japan and Japan, and then just have Will Ospreay be like, okay, I'm coming to just fight the winner. And then you've got that.
But that wasn't that's oversimplifying it. They did have a long-term thing that they played out. So yeah, New Japan knows how to book, so they can do stuff like that. WWE maybe arguably used to know, and they certainly don't know or care anymore. So even though that would be really cool, like there's so much cool stuff that they can do that they are never going to do. And some of that is like, you know, like, think about Brock and Bobby. Like, this match should have happened a long time ago, right? But why hasn't it? Do you think that the fans are seriously the first people to think that you get these 2 monsters together and have a match and promote it? Of course not.
This has to be like a weekly conversation, right? That they're having behind closed doors.
Right. So why wouldn't they? The reason they wouldn't is probably because Brock doesn't want to. For whatever reason that is. Either he doesn't want to have a match with Bobby, that Bobby wants to work hard. If he doesn't want to put Bobby over or whatever, which Bobby wouldn't care. He just wants to have the match. Like we know where Lashley stands on the matter. We know he wants the match. That's the reason he's there. He's willing to do whatever it takes and hang around and eat as much shit and be in as many terrible angles and everything as possible to possibly get to work with Brock Lesnar one day.
The guy talked out of his ass, literally talked out of his ass for half a year, just waiting for an opportunity like this.
Right. So what would be the holdup? Obviously, it's Brock for some reason. Draw your own conclusions why he doesn't want to do it, but I'm sure that's it, because look at the people that he has worked with. People that you wouldn't have assumed that Brock Lesnar would want to work with. You know what I mean? Why would Brock Lesnar care to work with AJ Styles? Why would Brock Lesnar care to work with Finn Balor? Why would Brock Lesnar care to work with Samoa Joe or any of the people that he was put with when he could have been in there with Lashley? The obvious choice, right? So those kind of politics are at work. They bow down to whatever Brock Lesnar wants because that's their, that's Vince McMahon's, huge muscular guy worship, whatever. He's like, I'll pay him whatever he wants. Like that's Vince McMahon marks out for Brock Lesnar, right? The one time that he relinquishes the direction of his company is whenever it has anything to do with Brock Lesnar, right? So Brock doesn't want the match. We're not going to get the match. And I feel like he would have wanted it before now when they were both younger and fresher and everything, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why we have the best pros in the business, and that's why we have them around like this, because this is the knowledge you get here, besides us Marks just talking about this thing. There's a lot deeper issues, levels into this thing that we just don't, we just don't see it and we're not talking about.
Yeah. Does that make sense, though, guys?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, as you really sit and think the way you lay it out here, okay, it's not like every fan in the world is outsmarting WWE. They're having these conversations. There's something holding this back. A lot of the reasons that we haven't seen so many matches throughout the years. That, there's why the hell didn't they ever pull? Come on, that they couldn't go get Sting, give him enough money to bring him in for that Undertaker match. There's other factors at play here. The reason we didn't get, when probably, in many people's eyes, the biggest misfire in WWE history is why the hell we didn't get Hogan and Flair at WrestleMania.
Hogan and Flair, yep. Never got Hogan and Austin, never got a lot of things. And that's because that's another guy that was telling Vince, hey, that doesn't work for me, brother, or whatever. Just any Hogan and Brett, those type of things. Like those are the things that as fans we forget about sometimes, because we just think in our logical minds, it's not just that we're wrestling fans. In our logical minds, we're like, well, this is a business. That's the excuse they always use whenever they cut a bunch of people. Hey, this is a business, and this is about the bottom line and money. Well, not really, because you leave a lot of fucking money on the table when you don't do the obvious things that people would pony up to see. And but we don't want to believe that people could be that dumb. We don't want to believe that people could be that petty. We don't want to believe that people would cut off their nose to spite their face. We don't want to believe the unbelievable egomaniacs that exist behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. We just don't want to believe that this stuff is true. We just want to be fans and enjoy it, and we want them to give us what we want, or what we feel like we should get, just even based on the other stuff they do give us. Like, they give us the breadcrumbs that give us ideas like, well, hey, if you did that, why not do this, and this? And there's always people shutting it down from one person to another. Could be one of the talent, could be a producer, could be Vince himself, could be Stephanie, or it could be anybody that says, nah, we're not going to do this for whatever spiteful, dumb reason. And then we get the short end of the stick, but we keep coming back, and that's why they keep doing it, because they just assume we'll always be here.
Now, this match itself, what did you gentlemen think of the in-ring action? Hey, this thing is the shortest match of the evening. Main event, everything on the line, all the excitement. You have a new enthusiasm, a new energy with Brocky and Ed. This thing goes 8 minutes, 25 seconds.
Wow.
A lot of hard-hitting action inside of this thing, but boom, it's over.
Again,
meaty man slapping meat. That's what that was.
Again, Brock Lesnar.
Oh,
I don't get paid by the hour.
No way.
Let's bring it in under 10, guys. I want to go home. I want to take my belt and go home.
He's walking the ring doing this. Wrap it up.
Yep. Wrap it up.
Started yet. Wrap it, guys.
Yeah. Look, hey, why don't you give me that spear of yours through the barricade? I want to lay down for a while. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that comes so early until it's time for the F5s.
Yeah, that's it.
It was so wild for 8 minutes. So much happened. It was just insane. Like the very beginning, Lesnar's throwing people about, and then Big E, I thought it was pretty stiff clothesline, actually. Got Lesnar there, and then threw him out. Did some leaps. Then Lashley took care of Lesnar. Then you had Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins doing a bit of their thing, trying to put who was it that tried to put through the table? What was it? No, it wasn't Lesnar. It was Lashley who tried to put through the table. Or was it Big E?
It was. I know that whoever it was that they did it to, I think it was Lashley when they did it. I was sitting there in the work break room or whatever, watching it on my phone, and then when he did that, I just audibly said, "Ugh."
Yeah. And then Big E got back in there, got them through the table, then started clearing house. Then Lesnar rose from the dead and just cleaned out. I quite liked how Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens didn't break up on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they stuck to the plan. They stuck to the plan no matter what.
You've got to imagine, as this thing was set as a fatal four-way, those guys were probably planning on going out there for 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys were, yeah.
And then Lesnar gets inserted this thing immediately as Vet's just laid out for us. He's in Vince's ear. We ain't doing that, pal.
Yeah.
I ain't going over 10 minutes. Let's reconfigure this thing. And now we're wondering why Edge and Miz had to go 20 and why Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan had to go 17 minutes.
Brock Lesnar doesn't do art hype films. He does popcorn cinema action.
That's right. And I'll tell you this. We're putting in a connotation of like almost like accusatory of Brock Lesnar. But guess what, guys? He was right. This was exactly what it needed to be, because I hate multi-man matches. Like, I hate 4-ways, 3-ways, 5-ways, 6-pack challenges, whatever it is. I don't like them. And I like this. It was exciting. It was fast. It felt a little bit longer than 8 minutes, but that's because of the entrances and stuff. So it was what it needed to be, man. If you get this much, like, as you guys are saying, meat, if you get this much meat in one confined space, it shouldn't last long. How could it? There's so much violence and damage going on. Like, how could it last 20 minutes? But I don't know if Kevin Owens can have a match under 20 minutes. So, like, if you like you said, if you leave it up to those guys, probably book for 25.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say him and Rollins were probably fuming over this thing. But if it was Brock's call, I don't think they're gonna go say anything to him about it. This was great. This sent everybody home. I mean, it kind of you popped. You were wowed. I was kind of surprised by the finish that it happened to Big E. I was expecting some kind of kick out or someone to come in Rollins to break that thing up. I was surprised that he put down the champ on this.
I was gutted. I was a bit gutted for Big E because I thought he maybe deserved a little better. I thought because he's not been the most well-booked champion, but I thought he got a lot of benefit out of this run. He's got a lot of mainstream appeal. He was doing big main.
I think it made the most sense, though.
It did. I mean, once Lesnar was in, you knew it had to be Lesnar. It couldn't be anyone else that was winning this match. I think you maybe could have got away with it if. What was that?
Oh, sorry, that's my phone. Don't worry about it.
Oh, but I thought like Big E, you could maybe have got to the Rumble at the very least if it stayed a fatal 4-way. I think he maybe deserved that much and got a decent match at the Rumble.
But did it surprise you it was Big E at all, or?
I didn't really think about it actually until just now when you guys are talking about it. But it's fine. I mean, you lose to Brock Lesnar. There's no shame in that. So I'm good with it.
But it seems like he's quickly to the side now because the focus is very much on Lashley, and the end of the show highlighted that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So maybe Big E maybe not getting a look in for a while again. Maybe
I think it's more impactful that you have someone like Lesnar. There is no shame in getting put down by Lesnar. Everyone does. And I think it probably lessens the moment if it happens to Kevin Owens or Seth Rollins. They're really afterthoughts in this thing. So really everyone is focusing on our big dudes, our heavy hitters, Lesnar, Big E, and Lashley. And you're not going to have Lashley take that pin.
Yeah. I see what you're saying though, Jimmy, about Big E. Like, we wanted better for Big E, but this was always what it was going to be because, again, the reasons, right? You put the belt on him for some reason to placate somebody somewhere. You didn't really ever want this. You're just doing it so you could say you did it. You don't have no plans for Big E. You don't care about Big E. You act like you do, but you don't. There's no reason to split him off from the New Day. He could have had the exact same run with them, like as just them dominating, like much like a Four Horsemen would or something like that, where they got titles and they work together and then split off and work separately. It's just like there's no reason to ever come between them, but they did it, and I think that hurt somewhat because it just wouldn't make sense, like why these guys have always been together. And then we talked about this back in the draft episode we did, right? About like, oh yeah, we'll just take Big E, nobody else. But then other people get managers and other add-ons and stuff like that. Like, what? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah, so this is just, they just want an excuse to say, okay, look, we tried it with Big E, it didn't work. That's what they want. You can't tell people it didn't work if it worked. So you gotta sabotage it and make sure it doesn't work.
It's
right?
so strange though, because like he was getting a lot of mainstream appeal. He was getting out there. He was doing his sort of, don't you know, when the New Day stick, he was introducing them in. He was part of the Tyson Fury Wilder fight, one of the biggest boxing fights of the whole year. He did the unification. Was it the Canelo fight he done, or was it someone else? He done a few of those. They announced boxing cards. He was appearing at UFC events, just in the crowd, but people were wising up to him. He was doing TV appearances, things like this. He was getting out there, and that's exactly what you'd want from your champion. If you're in a wrestling company right now, you want your biggest champion to get out there and do these events and be in the mainstream and be recognized and people gravitating to you. It sounds like he was doing the job pretty well, but when it came to the on-screen product and in the ring, they just didn't do him any service. Or they kind of put him in these sort of weird storylines. Like he wins Money in the Bank. Baron Corbin's his feud until wrestling about the Money in the Bank. And then he wins the title. And then he's got to kind of navigate this sort of strange time where it's Survivor Series. He's going to lose to Roman Reigns because everyone does. And then, right, we're in this sort of weird in-between until Lashley comes back. Then you had the Seth Rollins booked for day one. Then it was Kevin Owens. Then it was Bobby Lashley. And then not even hours before the show, then it was Brock Lesnar, and he had no chance.
Yep.
Like there was no chance for him.
And what of that could they have done all that same stuff even without making him the champion? They could have put him in all those programs with all those people, right? And here's a question. It's not a rhetorical question. I really don't know. So maybe if you have some inside information you could share. But all those appearances that he was making, was that because of things that the connections Big E was making and stuff he was doing, or was he installed by the company to do those things? Because he might have done some of that stuff on his own with their permission, of course. Maybe it's stuff they wouldn't have even had thought to do. But he being the smart young man that he is, sees opportunities, and he's not going to wait for them to give them to him. He's just going to say, hey, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the case is.
I think the key factor is, I love how you put it there, that even if you look at New Day, you look at the crew he runs with, those guys they kind of have that entrepreneur spirit. They're out there trying to get in their own business, especially, what we've really seen from Xavier Woods. They're having great conversations all the time. Money, you run through a list of how he's out there working, promoting, getting himself out there as champ everywhere he went. He's on social media showing himself getting a haircut and a shave, and who's he got there in his lap? His baby. It's that belt, taking it everywhere with him. But he's doing that promotion himself. You don't see the company. Where are they running crazy with that stuff across Raw? Where are we seeing that, for the crossover on SmackDown? Hey, our champ's out here. You don't see that. And they refuse to acknowledge it. Even with Sasha Banks, when she's, breaking through, you got the whole audience that you can tap into when she's doing the Star Wars stuff. They don't even mention that shit because they don't create it. It doesn't exist inside of their bubble, and they think they're bigger than that. It's absolutely bullshit, and it kills them.
Yeah. Yep. Take a win. Like, it's on the plate for you.
Yeah.
Just take it. Take the win.
Well, it wasn't our idea, so we don't like it.
Right.
We didn't recommend Sasha Banks for this. They found her, so we're mad. This is the company you're dealing with. That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to make easy money because they make it easy for me. I want to make it hard.
How dare you have your own Twitch account, all of that.
Yeah, we want you to get over. Well, not like that. Well, don't do that. We didn't say that. We just said get over. We didn't, No. It's like you can't do anything right. If I learn one thing in the wrestling business, it's everything you do is wrong. Yeah. So that's why I'm sitting here instead. It's more fun this way.
How dare you be popular on your... Do you think it's Steve in the writer's room, his hard work, trying to get you over on our screen? You're not doing it for him. No.
Yeah. That's it, Biggie. You know what? Brock Lesnar's going to be a champion now, and he can take his belt and be back on his farm by himself and not do any of this PR for us.
You go and announce spots.
Much better idea.
I'm going to put that in there up on my etch it into the stone of advice that I've heard inside of this business. First, when I was walking into OVW for a meeting, and I called Ben, and he passed on it. I'm sure you've heard this plenty of times. That's where it came from. One, never miss the opportunity to shut the fuck up. Two, from when I asked Rip Rogers for advice on starting to promote pro wrestling, he said, take the money you got, go buy a gun and shoot yourself in the head.
Yeah.
And what you just shared with us, inside this business, you're always wrong.
Yep.
There we go. I'm building my commandments of professional wrestling. That you got one on there for me.
Chisel them into stone, RBV. Yes. Just chisel them right in there. They're good as gold.
You're a crazy man for going into promotion, man. I'm content just sitting here at my desk talking shit. But I salute you for that, sir. Like, that's commitment and insanity.
I think it's really cool. Totally. I do. I think it's cool that you're getting into it, because it's we're still gonna need some of that. I still believe someday that the empires might fall. You know what I mean? And then where's everybody going to be at? So they're going to need places to go. And if you can get a reputation, it can grow into something big and or great. So I'm not going to discourage anybody.
It can be quite nerve-wracking. Believe me, the 5 years that I had sitting under the HMG learning tree was made a significant difference where I am against other promoters that have been doing this for a couple of years. They've had a lot more shows. I see what they're doing here. And having the conversations, it would be on air with you or behind the scenes, I got Beast, who pretty much is our producer, booker, and all that. You can't ask for anyone better than that in the world. Nope. Thank God he was right down the road from, and he's making the effort and the time to help us out. But it's an adventure. I mean, there's some tremendous payoffs when you see the audience after a show. You feel that it's worthwhile. But like today, I'll meet some of the guys, and we got to go out and hustle. We got to hit sponsors. We got a show 6 weeks away. Got to start pushing tickets here. It's a hustle for sure, man. It can be nerve-wracking.
Well, you got the resources to do it, and we believe in you. You're also, I follow Rick on social media, and he doesn't say anything stupid, so that's also a good thing. You rarely see that anymore from people in the wrestling business, not tweeting stupid shit. So congratulations to him for that.
It takes us back to rule number 1, right?
Yeah,
never miss an opportunity to shut the fuck up.
Even on a platform that's all about communication. Yes. Shut up. Dude, that's why I got on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter to tweet. I'm there to take the temperature and, you know what I mean, maybe crack a joke here and there or a nice little retweet, but I'm not here to sit there and get on a soapbox. Nobody needs that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
totally. It's I think that's the navigation of the landscape as well, is like now that you're in line with bringing in wrestlers in and things like that, the discourse changes a little bit, doesn't it? Obviously, you're still going to be doing punditry in the sense of like talking about wrestling, but now your outlook's going to be totally different to how you approach that as well.
And after the first show that I ran, with great success, and watching Beast there, when he walked in that building, you know, I've known him. We've been podcasting for years ago. The first time that we physically met, and I gave him a hug and all, we shook hands, and he kind of said, "All right, where's the locker room? Or, you know, where are we setting up at?" And the switch hits in him, and you feel this energy, this different vibe from him. He just doesn't love professional wrestling. He is professional wrestling. It flows through his veins. He goes to this different level, and to sit back and just watch him, absolutely magic. And I had to catch myself like, well, I got a bunch of other shit I need to be doing here. Now, I got to make sure I'm running the floor, make sure seating, you know, you got the front gate, just small thing, make sure, hey, shit, they need water down in the locker room. I try to stay out of there as much as possible, concession. I made the mistake, too, of I can do all this and ring announce. I learned real quick it was so hard to juggle to be a part of it. You're going to do one, run the show or be a part of the show. So from then, I've stepped back from that. But, you know, later that night, I remember calling Ben, and I told him, I said, everything I thought I knew about professional wrestling, I didn't know shit. And since then, my entire perspectives of having conversations with Big Tom, that's run War Wrestling up out of Lima here for 25 years, with Roger Ruffin, who has trained Carl Anderson and Abyss, Jillian Hall, those he's been running here for 25 years, sitting and talking with Cody Hawk, who have all been great here in this area to lend me some of their knowledge. It changes your perspective when you're looking at it from, and I'll never claim to be one of the boys. I'm not a locker room guy, but as that promoter, as someone that has somewhat crossed that threshold from simply a fan's point of view, and then actually working with these young talents. And as Vet's saying, it's different because you have a lot of these young talents. They sit there and they're seeing a lot of wrong things. They think indie style is going to work. It's what's going to get them over. And then they think, you know, a lot of what they're seeing, some of the, I don't say garbage wrestling, because I guess there's spots for it. And you learn that by listening to Silv about how he takes the fundamentals into a modern age. But, you know, they think a lot of just the spot fest are what's getting over and stuff like that. And it's sometimes it's difficult to get them to see another viewpoint. And I'll regularly say, hey, here's a link that maybe you shouldn't see from something from HGM, but take a look at this thing and really look at it.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. You said it. You don't know shit. And that's what it is. Like, as a fan, you can only get to a certain level. But right now, where you've been, like, you can't unsee what you've seen. So you can't just go back to being a regular fan. Everything about you now, when you look at this, is business, business, business. Where was the opportunity? Where is their money? Where, you know, you're looking at these things, not just of like, did I enjoy this? You're seeing everything. It's like, you know, Neo seeing the Matrix, kind of, you know what I mean? Yep. Like, it makes sense now. Like, even though you thought you knew, you can only know so much from just sitting on the couch. You have to be around it and see, like, you know, there's this whole different element to it. So, that's the thing. That's why I just sit back and laugh, like, about what I'm saying about the social media when I see people tweeting stuff, just fans and everything. And it's like, well, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, I think that's, if you take away anything from listening to this one, what that brought up, just because it makes the most sense to you and maybe a lot of people around you, doesn't mean it's anywhere close to happening inside the company for a multitude of reasons.
Right. And real quick, I want to say about Beast, Man Beast, Ted the Trailer McNailer, any way you know him, right? He was the first person I met when I got to the Davis Arena back in 2005. And he was in the beginners program, and he had been going there for like, to the beginners program for like 2 years, I think was what he said. And he had like a thimble full of athletic talent. And he didn't quite have the look of a professional wrestler, as you know. But man, he was right down the street, so he had no excuse. If OVW is literally down the street from you, you have no excuse not to go there if you love wrestling that much, at least just to see, just to find out, hey, is this for me or whatever. And he stuck with it. And he learned a tremendous deal. Just from the time that I was there and had to take a hiatus and come back. Like when I came back, he was, like a captain running a ship. He just got it. And how could you not? With that level of training. Serena Deeb, same deal. I was there for her very first day, and I tried to help her out the little bit that I knew. And then I take that hiatus and come back, and now she's she's the man. She's the man. She's teaching everybody everything. So, it's that's just Rip Rogers right there. You can't really put anybody else on it because Danny Davis was a little more hands off at that point. He was mostly, if he did anything at all, he was working with the guys that the WWE had under contract. So that's what he kind of handled. And Rip had sort of, let's just say he didn't endear himself to a lot of the people that were under contract at WWE at that time because he just told them how it was and not how they wanted it to be. So they would complain to the office, and they ended up saying, yeah, we don't need you for the contract guys anymore. And then he started he started the non-existent at that time intermediate class. So now there's something between beginners and advanced. He started the intermediate class as a fuck you to the WWE. And that's where like a lot of the magic happened that you hear about from the people here at HMG is that because now he doesn't have to spend time on the WWE contracted guys who didn't really care about what he was teaching them anyway. So he got to spend that time with the Ted McNaylor, and he got to spend that time with the Serena Deeb and give them that personal attention and pour that knowledge into their brains, which it's now their duty and mine as well on this platform to sort of, to keep it going, because it's not, we're not going to have all these great legends forever to teach these people these things. So it's got to get passed on one way or another. So if I can, any little bit that I can help and pass on here, just on doing these shows and talking about these things, that's an obligation, I feel. Yeah. I didn't go there for nothing and learn all this stuff for nothing. It's got to get passed on. Otherwise it's going to be all what you said, the indie garbage matches that they think that their spot fests are going to get over, and the only thing that's going to, the only money that's going to go up is the hospital bills.
Absolutely. Just before we get the plugs and sign out here, a little more OVW connection. I just recently had some great conversations with. He's going to come in and work this year with us. Old OVW champion, Marcus Anthony.
Ooh, Marcus Anthony.
Big old dude. Genetic freak.
Sure, genetics. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's harsh. That'll be good. It's quite nice. It's quite an exciting year coming forward. We're going to.
He looks good on a poster opposed to most indie workers, and he moves tickets.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. You've got the look and you've got the drive. You can make us some money. You're up the card. That's all. I'll say it's all that matters, but it helps. It helps a little bit. But before we say it, I've just got a quick question for you guys. Yeah, I've not really planned this out. I'm just going to throw it your way. I'm sure I did this last year. We did a year in review. Quite an exciting year coming up for 2022. Quite a lot of things that are going to that could happen, that might happen. Have you guys got any sort of like things that you think's going to happen, or what you would like to see over the next 12 months that WWE or even AEW or anything like that, or anyone at any point in the landscape of wrestling? Is there anything that you maybe think we should see or we want to see?
Vet?
I don't know. I guess the only real thing that I think is important for the health of the business is I'd like to see the continued success and growth of AEW even though I don't always enjoy it as a product, it's necessary. There's got to be something else to watch besides this horseshit that WWE is doing. We've got to shame them into doing better. I do think that at some point coming up, it's going to, like, the Dynamite numbers are going to surpass the Raw numbers. It's got to happen. Even if the Dynamite numbers aren't going up that much, the Raw numbers are going down.
How are they going?
They are going down.
Meet,
So it doesn't matter how they pass them. I feel like, with a whole 12 more months to do it, I think it could happen. So that and I think it should happen. So that's what I'd like to see. That's what I hope to see. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah. I think on the AE front, I was kind of going that direction as well for the course of 2022. It's really going to be interesting to watch the continued evolution of their product and how their roster is shaped. And not to open up a whole new conversation we could talk for another 2 hours about what we saw this past weekend in their little, Twitter spiffs. But we've already seen this, with, I guess, more I'll say television ready talents. Those maybe they're a little bit more knowledgeable, that have a connection with the audience. As they begin to shift more and become available for AEW, you're going to see those early signings that were filling spots coming, the hot commodities off the indie scene that weren't really ready for television. You're going to see them losing spots. I guess to watch that continued evolution, to see if there will be any kind of rift in that very loyal fan base. Will there be any kind of backlash as you see more and more maybe WWE style, WWE's talents make appearances, getting more television time? I think that's how you're going to see AEW really close that gap, is when they become more of what people just recognize as sports entertainment, pro wrestling, on what WWE was doing right. I think AEW does a hell of a lot of things right, in the sense of they want to try and be professional wrestling, even if they're missing the direction sometimes with just maybe mismanagement or people just too easily collecting checks without speaking up. On the other front of that, I do want to talk to the indie side, and I hope that in some ways that's also an eye opener for some of these talents that, move sets, they're not gonna get you there. Learn how to work television style. Go find the proper training people that are going to give you the tools, like a Coach Sil. They're going to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of keen to see, as you mentioned, the balancing of the scales in the industry a little bit more now, with AEW maybe coming up or WWE coming down, and now starting to see a little bit more of a sort of.
Like Vince, I think everybody is rooting for AEW in that sense. We want that competition to push the industry again.
Yeah, because that's where the best came out of it, when WWE
and it trickles down too. I mean, it's me as a low level promotion, when wrestling's hot at the very top, it's good for everybody because people just want to get close to it. And what better way than $10 to come see, my joke ass up the street, where you can get up right close and meet the people, and you get a sense of that, where maybe the big promotions don't travel through as often.
Yeah, imagine getting
and real quick, James. That also is another benefit of AEW, because if one of their guys will take your booking, Tony Khan will let him.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have to get fired first to come work for you.
Yeah.
They can just do it if that's what they feel like doing that weekend. You know what I mean? So that sort of overall improves the health of the state of the business. It gets it kind of back to the way it used to be, when territories would have to trade off talents, Yeah.
Well, but here's another side that I am learning on that, Vet, is I really got to weigh in. Oh, that's great. You were on AEW, right? Okay, is that $250 you're asking plus travel? Am I going to be able to sell enough tickets at $10 to cover that? Or can I get the local guy, or I can get the guy that everyone loves locally who's pushing tickets for me to do just as well?
Yeah.
That is the thing. That is the thing.
Think of the draw, though. Think of the draw. Like, that must do wonders, having that. Like, it doesn't have to be at the top of the card, but you can have something like as seen on AEW, as seen on WWE.
Another whole conversation. I'm learning that doesn't pay off as much as you think. Especially when you see ratings where they're at, and the wrestling bubble is shrinking.
Yeah, that's true.
Now on a poster, you'll get people coming up to you if you. I'm sorry, people that hate to admit to this, but a couple hot chicks on there, intriguing chicks, I'll say. They'll draw attention. The midgets draw attention, or just some dudes that look like pro wrestlers. I've had a couple of people like, I show a picture of the Outrunners. They might not be familiar with them, but holy shit, they look like pro wrestlers. The internet, they look like 80s pro wrestlers, and people love that.
Yeah. And so that right there, what you're saying is so simple, because why would anybody go see a live professional wrestling in 2022? Why do they need to do that when they can see it on the internet? Why do they need to do that when they can see it on television? Why do anybody need to leave their house for anything anymore? Because you can say you were there and you saw that guy. It's that celebrity worship. It's that idol worship that people still have. If they think there's a spectacle that they can say they saw in person, you have to, provide that for them. It's like, I'll never forget when I saw a match from Japan. I forget which promotion it was, but it was when the Great Khali was doing stuff over there before he got signed by the WWE. Dude, this guy just walked out, and the crowd was like, oh, just looking at the size of him. You know what I mean? Like, you can say, like, yes, I was there in the Tokyo Dome when the Great Khali walked out. I saw him. You know what I mean? Like, that's what those people bought the ticket to see, and that's what it is, right? You don't need everybody to be like that, but you got to have some people like that are just the spectacle, just so that you can say. It's the same reason people want a movie star's autograph on some stupid piece of trash like a napkin or whatever they have at hand. Like, what are you going to do with that? They scribbled on a napkin, and what are you going to do? No one's going to even believe that's their real signature if you try to show them, but you'll know, right? That's the key to getting people in the building, is figuring out what they can't miss in person.
Or Randy Jackson on a samurai sword.
Yeah, that too.
Oh yeah, that's a good note to close things off on. I like having you guys on. It's like every day's a lesson. I say that every time you're on, Bet. Every time you're on, it's like a lesson.
Well, just remember that when it's time for the voting for the Hammies.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget about old Vet and vote for me, baby.
Almost 2 weeks from now, the voting starts.
No, we'll have voting will start this Wednesday.
Is it this Wednesday?
Right.
Is it the 17th we announce winners?
Yep. And then we'll have the live show. Yeah, the Hammies, the Haminis, we're gonna call it our Hamin Army Choice Awards, our best in 2021 to be coming at you. But yeah, we're gonna open that up Wednesday. Have that going right around start of Dynamite. We'll have all of the categories, and those are going to be nominated for the different awards. And then we'll be coming at you on the 17th live right here on YouTube. I guess we'll do the same format. Probably me and Hameen hosting, but we'll have the whole crew somewhere lurking around backstage in case their name gets called for the big announcement.
I'm not wearing a tux this time. I felt like a prize wank last year coming in dressed up to the nines thinking, hey, award ceremony. Everyone else just as they are. I just felt like a fucking idiot.
just bring your best whiskey. That's probably the best advice.
Oh yeah, I've got a nice little Kingsbarns right here though. That'll do the job.
There we
go. But I'll look forward to it. If you want to kind of throw a vote for producer of the year to this guy,
yes, just give it to me.
Host
still.
of the year to this guy.
I didn't produce nothing, but give it to me. Vote for me.
I can see that happening, right? Like the vet will get sort of like newcomer of the year. It'll get the sort of personality of the year, and then for some reason it'll be like producers and all this, and it'll be write-in votes, all the vet.
Well, Spaceman, to answer Spaceman's question there, how do we vote? I know last year we did a link. They're trying to charge for that this year, so I'm right now I'm still exploring some options here. They don't have to go too deep into the pocket, so we might just use social media platforms, multitude of those for voting, or I'm looking at right now maybe we can still do a private server somewhere.
I'm not saying I'll offer something if you vote for me.
Hey,
what I'm saying is, if you vote for me, I will try and make up for the Christmas special fiasco because I had no voice. So
bribery will get you nowhere, James.
I'll do anything. I'll do anything.
He'll bring a WrestleMania to the UK.
Here, if I pulled that shit off, vote. I'll get on the phone right away. But you can get involved. What are you guys up to? What you guys got going on? Anything you'd like to plug or get out there before we close on out there? It's on top of the Hamini Awards and Hameen Awards and everything like that there.
Well, to answer another Spaceman question, I was eating this Archer Natural Turkey Jerky is what I was eating when I got on here. little protein for the morning. And you can find me at Opinion Haver everywhere. You can find me on Next Level Wrestling Review every week with Big Ray Hernandez. You can find me on the Impact Attack with Colin Wysong and Brandon Stransky. You can find me on the latest episode of the Pro Wrestling Coalition's Wednesday Night Skirmish, where I sat down for 3 hours with to talk about Dynamite with Jimmy T and Chris Ames. 3 hours, or as we call it, a short Big Ray podcast. And then I think that's is that. If you didn't check out my Christmas movies episode with Rad Rob, go check that out. We talked about our favorite Christmas movies. Shit, what haven't I done? I pretty much everywhere. You can't avoid me at this point. I think. Yeah. I'm even here at the last minute. I missed the whole. I didn't even watch this pay-per-view, and I'm still here.
You made it.
I say that if you keep listening, we've only got 363 days left in this year. So, just tell us what you're not doing.
Well, sleep.
Whatever. Hey, on my other side, real short, sweet here. I love the idea. Maybe we'll go with the Google document. But yes, the awards are coming at you. We're going to start that Wednesday. Check with us on social media for those official announcements. Be back again tomorrow with Hameen in the Monday locker room. So make sure you're catching all that content. Catch us live here on YouTube and at Twitch, or you get the playbacks over at channelattitude.com.
Yep, channelattitude.com is the place to be for all your Hammy Media content. Not just, though. We've got other forms of ways to get to you for that. There's so much content going on. We need to have our own other feed elsewhere. Wherever you get your podcasts from, Podbean, Apple, Google, the Hammy Media Group Affiliates channel. There's so many great podcasts on there. John's Star Trek podcast, the Academy Star Trek podcast is there. The NFO Star Wars podcast, Suck My Balls, the South Park podcast, Rad Rob's retro podcast, where you can find the Vets Christmas special is there on that affiliates channel. If you're not on it,
you'll be pleased to know we decided that Die Hard was a Christmas movie, James.
My boy. That's what I like to hear. I'm not having this Die Hard's not a Christmas film. Bollocks. I'm not sitting here for it. Not
uncultured swine.
I know. It's terrible. I couldn't believe. See, when John came out with that, I was like, I'm done. I'm had enough of this podcast.
Oh, that's why he hasn't been on. That's why he's not on the show.
Oh no, the reason I was on the show a couple of weeks ago is right. Grizzly story coming. I caught a vomiting bug, and it got really bad, and actually just tore my vocal cords because I'm violently ill. So I got it on the Monday, and then the Tuesday I was like, my voice was gone. I had to message my girlfriend, had to write a text and show her the text, and just be like, this is what I'm saying. And it was about 3 or 4 days of that. Got to the weekend, and I was still, so I was off work for those 3 days. Went back to work on Thursday with no voice. And what's a great thing for having no voice from healing when you can't really talk and you shouldn't really talk? I talked to every fucking customer that came through the door. I'd done that all the way up to Christmas, so I barely had a voice to get me through Christmas. My throat's still healing. So there's weird moments where I don't know if it's there's something back there or something blood starts coming out, but I just start coughing and choking on something. It's grim, man. It's grim.
So what I'm hearing here is that after John said that Die Hard wasn't a Christmas movie, you vomited so hard that you injured yourself, and that's why we're in the situation.
Pretty much.
You didn't catch a bug. It was just you just so disgusted that you threw up, and it turned into this whole chain of events that led us to here.
Yeah, because I went from a sickness bug to getting hit hard with the cold. Literally, as soon as one finished, the next one began in an instant. I was saying to Rick before we went on air, I was absolutely surprised that I did not catch COVID in the whole 2 weeks between that happening and now. It was a miracle, if anything. But so I'm alive and well. So that's why I do have to apologize. That's why the Christmas special sort of hit the deck, is because I just had no voice. I was completely out of it, and I had to work a big 2 week period up to Christmas constantly, and it was just I couldn't get it to happen. So I do apologize. I apologize to you, Big Ray, if you're watching this. I do apologize as well, because I was trying to get you both on at the same time to do it. But we'll do a make good. I'll promise. We'll do some kind of make good at some point if you vote. We'll do it if you make a make good.
Wait a minute.
We'll do a make good of it at some point, I'm sure, because I was really keen to get that up and running. So we'll try and do something else. towards then. But yeah, so if you want to listen to it, so that aside, the affiliates channel, HMG affiliates channel there. If you want to get in touch with us, there's great places to do it. If you want to get in touch with Smack Attack, you can do it directly. Email smackattackhammymedia@gmail.com. You can tweet us, Smack Attack HMG. If you want to find us on the Facebook group, we're all there. Myself, Rick, the vet. Well, no, the vet's not there, are you? You're on Twitter these days. But we're all there. All your favorite people. We're all hidden about in the Facebook group. Go on there. If you're not already on there now, facebook.com/Hammy Media Group. The Hammy Media discussion group is just a great place to be. So much discourse in pro wrestling, MMA, conspiracy theories when we get that up and when that gets going as well. We do live pick'ems for all the pay-per-views, Raw, not Raw, all pay-per-views for WWE, AEW. We do live chats for all the shows, Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage, Impact. New Japan's probably going to have one for Wrestle Kingdom later on this week. There's so much content on there. Willie Malicia, one of the best places to go with news content. He seems to just dribble that in, just brings that in now and again, and it's great stuff. So you want to be there for all the latest gossip, all the latest news, and just a great time to have a chat. If you've got people to chat with, it's all there. So get involved with that there as well. I think that's us. Am I missing anything? I don't think I missed anything else.
Well, if you are missing anything, at least the people here with us live, they already know everything that you're saying. So
yeah, vote.
So we'll be good.
But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thanks, RBV. Thank you, Vet. Thanks for coming on. This has been a great show. This has been a very fun couple of hours of just talking day one, talking WWE. We've got a lot to look forward to in 2022. It was a great start from WWE. It's a great start from us. Long may it continue for the next 363 days. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And we will see you next week for another edition of the Smack Attack. Cheerio.